Bazinga.
Into the studio.
There you go.
Oh.
We've just gone live.
Literally just comes in.
Just comes in, just at the right minute.
It was waiting in the background.
Waiting for me to say go live, and boom, there you were, popped in like a cue.
20% of the time, I work 100% of the time.
Yeah, that's it. There we go. So, hang on, I should have had this ready. There we are.
No, don't worry. I'm the king of not having stuff ready.
Yeah, I'm just going to get a right format going. That'll do, I think. And that's
a bit better.
Yes. So, I'm getting fucking sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I was getting used to being the centre of attention then.
Yes.
You are, frankly, you've had more than enough time being the centre of attention over the last couple of weeks, sir.
Yes, you have. So, welcome, you insouciant long pigs. It is I, your humble host, your purveyor of plastic, Sam with SG1, and I'm joined tonight with Knowlsy and Adam White. Say hello, boys.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Hi, I'm John Knowles' assistant. If you need any autograph requests, I can take them, but I should warn you, there is a big queue.
Well, a queue of 0 is not exactly big, but I guess you could divert.
I'm in the class of my own. Which is
it's 0 with 0.
A 0 isn't big, but it is round. It occupies a large surface area.
Yeah, it starts.
I'm not going to make a joke there.
So, what are we talking about then?
Right. Well, here's the thing, and I'm just going to scoot over and tweak a few things whilst I do this so people at home will seamlessly not realize that I'm just getting myself sorted after another chaotic start. Here's the thing, though, gents. Every year, people leave TFNation on a high. They've had a great event. They've had a fantastic time. But they also have that little thought, maybe one or two thoughts in the back of their head that maybe next time they'll do something differently. Maybe it's something like staying at a different hotel or getting there earlier to be sociable or getting there later, maybe even choosing just a Sunday because they want to avoid the crowds. Maybe, for instance, you're worried that, well, I need more time off before the event to prep or time off after the event to relax and recover. Maybe, you'll hear from people who maybe focused on money. Next year, they want to save more. They want to spend more. They want to take more cash with them. Maybe they're really focused on the social side of things, something that you guys have received a lot of questions on over the years, which is, how do I break the ice? How do I be more social? And then, of course, there's the both mental and physical health, like, should we take breaks? Should I pace myself? Should I not take 3 tons of junk food and try and eat it in my hotel room over the course of 3 days whilst having fried breakfast and pizza at night and then wonder why I'm not feeling too well? There's all those sorts of things. And the fact is, and this is the tragedy, is that most of us fail when it comes to dealing with them. And it's not because, you might not have had a bad experience. If you've had a bad experience with the Hilton, as both these gents will tell you, that stays with you. You tell other people about it. But the reality is as well that, and take these guys as the example, these two who I have begged the help of for this. And the reason I've asked them is because these two guys are probably the biggest purveyors of advice for convention goers for the convention experience. Yes, you get the facts from TFNation. Yes, you get the rules and details from the official sites. But how you act as a person, how you deal with the social side, how you deal with the convention, that's down to these guys. And they start bringing out their videos and their guides when people are clamoring for them. And you know when that is? It's April, May, June next year. That'll be when the TFNation 2026 survival guides come out. And there's a big problem with that because you've had 8 months to forget the small stuff, the stuff that actually stuck in your head this year, and you'll have forgotten about it because you'll be focusing on next year. And if you think I'm wrong, have you heard this phrase before? Oh, wow. I really should have gone and seen a panel. I mean, I definitely will go and see a panel next year. I absolutely will go and see a panel next year. No, you won't, sir. No, you won't. You'll forget again. And so that's what I thought. Why not whilst it's still fresh in your memory, and before Knowlsy goes off on one of his international jaunts, as he is a playboy now, let's face it, I thought, why not do that? Why not ask a few people if there's any advice or any stuff, and also run it through you guys. Ask some questions to you that might actually seem a little bit bland and boring, but also might uncover a few things that you do that you don't normally talk about. And before I continue, I do want to thank one group of people, and that is the people going to the TFNation Facebook fan group. Now, honestly, a lot of people don't use Facebook for a lot of stuff. I don't blame you. But if there was one thing I would suggest, even if you don't have any friends on there anymore, you've shut down most of your account, join the group, and it's called People Going to TFN Fan Group, or People Going to TFNation Fan Group. They, like SG1 and Knowlsy, are there, and they give a lot of advice on how to act at the event, how to deal with the event on a personal basis, to the point now where there are people who post on that forum during the event. They go into the bar, they're sat on a table, they haven't got anyone around them, they're nervous to go to somebody else, but they want to chat to somebody. They post pictures of themselves in the bar on that page and go, hey people, come over, chat to me, I'm a bit nervous. And people do. It's fantastic. It's brilliant. So I just want to thank Jay, Lena, Holly, Kev, John, Jermaine, Freddie, Sammy, John, Arrowfire, Amber, Den, Tim, Danny, and Stephen for giving us some feedback on this. Okay? Love you all. Love you great. You're wonderful people. And we'll start, I suppose, with one of the most boring aspects, which is the four, count them, financial things that you need to take care of before you hit TFN. Forget the money that you want to spend on toys. You've got to get 4 things out of the way. You've got to get your tickets, your hotel, your travel, and you've got to get your time off from work. And that, for a lot of people, is increasingly becoming the trickiest thing. Now, tickets, I don't think there's much to say about tickets, guys, beyond the fact that I think there's this general underlying feeling that maybe you need to get tickets a little bit quicker as years go on. People are snapping them up faster. There's that rule that things are starting to sell out, and that next year it could be the year where it sells out really quickly. I don't know about you.
Yeah, because I ran into somebody that they were still umming and ahhing about it, and then they could only get Sunday tickets.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I was in the bar, and I was talking to somebody, and they were like, well, I don't know if it's only down the road. We'll go for, they could only get Sunday tickets.
Okay.
So, also, as well, I'll put the link to the Facebook group in the description and stuff.
Oh, and one final thing as well. As we record this, TFN have put out their questionnaire.
Yes.
Sent out to all the attendees of this year's event. Now, big thing, folks. I know some people don't like questionnaires. All your answers go to TFN. All of them. I mean, they've got guys as part of their senior staff whose entire job is based around security and online security. They take it really, really seriously. But also, they want to read all of the stuff you put. In those questionnaires where you get the big empty box and they go, hey, do you have any other comments? Would you like to put in another suggestion? And a lot of people freeze because they don't feel confident typing. They don't know how to phrase a sentence, whatever. Screw that. If you want, just put in the first line, I'm not very good at typing, but here's my thoughts. And then just go to town. Tell them as much as you want. Tell them stuff you liked, stuff you didn't. Don't
even
try and flatter them.
Words,
yeah. Do it. They will read it. They will take notice. You can help shape future events. My God, I've gone off on a tangent there. It's almost like a Knowlsy level tangent. Hey, everyone. Right. So, okay, let's talk about the first big financial thing. And it's actually to you, Knowlsy, as well. You went with the Moxie this year.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Why? And how was it not being in the big TFN hotel?
Well, I will say, obviously, me and Sam, Jupiter Firestorm, he's actually in the chat right now, actually, of all things. But
hello, Sam.
But yeah, me and Sam shared, and our good friend Lawrence as well also was in the Moxie as well. So we opted. I'm kind of glad we did decide to do the Moxie, to be honest, because after hearing issues people had this past weekend, this year's TFN with the Hilton. But I'll get into that in a moment. But yeah, basically the Moxie, we got to the registration desk, got checked in. The guys behind the check-in desk were much more proficient, I think. And we went up to the room. We had a slight issue with one of the access door keys. One worked, one didn't. But Sam went back down, and within about 5 minutes, it was rectified and fixed, which is something the Hilton failed to do last year because we had a lot of issues with access door key cards. That's at the Hilton, by the way. But yeah, the Moxie, my experience for it for the first time, there was a few people that started doing the Moxie last 2024 TFNation. But there was quite a few regular faces in the Moxie that I noticed in breakfast and that in the morning. So it's getting more and more of a popular suggestion, idea. It's only a 5-minute walk away, so it's not far at all.
I've seen a lot of videos coming from Moxie as well, people doing, and we're at TFNation and, that sort of stuff. And I thought, you know what, the rooms look actually really nice. But as John was saying about problems with the hotel, the only issue we had this year, and one thing I will say, the staff at the hotel in previous years, this is the Hilton, haven't been the best. But this year, they were really, really good, really helpful. We did have a problem with the room key, and Chris, who I was sharing with, they charged him twice for the room, but he eventually sorted it out, and there were more on it. He was annoyed, as you can imagine, but they were a lot more helpful this time, so that sort of relaxed him a bit, and he could get on enjoying TFN. So yeah, but I mean, like I said, we only had one problem with the door key, and that was on the Saturday night. I had to go upstairs, tried to get in. The only problem I had really, I went down to the reception, and I just gave them the number of the room. Yeah, we'll sort that out. Just get the other keys, we'll redo them, and they're redone. 5 minutes.
Oh, fantastic!
Well, and the bar staff as well. Sorry, just to go on the bar staff. I'll say this, and I'll let you go on. The bar staff were absolutely on point this year. Now, and usually it's so hard to get served at that bar, but this year they were really on point. And, so yeah, hats off to Cash, the bar manager. She was really cool as well. And we might got a free drink as well. So,
I would say this is the sort of thing as well where, although it might not mean much to you, and this is the same for people out there as well, if you had a positive experience from an area of the bar staff or the Hilton, put that in the TFN feedback as well. Because let's face it, those people are just doing a job. But if somebody has gone above and beyond for you, it's just been nice in a difficult situation. If you can give some feedback and the Hilton get it, those guys are paid peanuts. We know that. But if they can get some feedback from an external client going, hey, they were really good, give them a shout out, give them some value, it might actually genuinely help them financially. They might get a bonus out of it. I don't know how these things work, but anything that you can do to spread the positivity, and it's really, really nice for building the relationship between TFN and the Hilton. If we become the convention where we do praise the good stuff as well as raising the bad stuff.
Yeah. Well, I must admit, I mean, just piggybacking on what Tony said there, I mean, obviously I was staying at the Moxie, of course, but a predominant amount of time I spent at the Hilton because obviously that's where everybody was. So the commonplace, I mean, I must admit, like the bar staff, I mean, obviously I was with Tony when we got the free drink. I was with Jermaine and a few other people. And I must admit the bar staff seem to be much more on point this year at the Hilton Bar. It's just some people did have a couple of overshadowing issues, which was like Tony said about people being overcharged twice, which caused a lot of problems for some people again. But yeah, I mean, it's looking good if the staff are starting to probably, if things are maybe in motion behind the scenes at the Hilton, maybe they're trying to kind of get the hospitality level up a bit better. And
well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, we have had problems, with room keys and whatever else, and were being overcharged, but this time they were really on point. They were really couldn't bend over backwards quick enough to help you out, which was good. Yes, there were some things they couldn't do, right there and then, but they were helpful, as much as they can. Like I said, in previous years, keep going back, they couldn't give a shit, quite honestly. And like you said, they paid peanuts, so why should they care? But this time they were like, got straight on it,
Do you think as well that because the NEC is getting busier, conventions and the convention business is certainly picking up. I mean, it had a very couple of shallow years after COVID. There was a real knock-on effect, but also as well, and I don't know if people are aware of this, there is a new site that is being built to the, like, if you look at most of the maps, it is to the right of the NEC. It's almost that it's the one area that didn't have a lot on it at the moment. And it's another kind of, it's not a resort world, but it's a collection of businesses, shops, restaurants. There's going to be other stuff there. So the NEC is actually going to become the center of a very, very interesting sort of collection of businesses. And I think it's going to draw more and more people there. Businesses obviously up for grabs. Other hotels are being built, and so there's more competition. So it makes sense for the Hilton to pull its finger out and actually do more for its attendees. And since TFNation is coming in with a stacked, 1,500 people, it's no longer like the kind of extra small convention that's on the side. It's the big convention for that weekend. So
well, we had to share it with the Christian group that was there as well, and there were a lot of them. I'd be interested to know if they've had any problems with the hotel and stuff like that. I don't think I'll ever find out, but it'd be nice to know sort of comparatively what we've had, if they've had room problems as well. I would assume so. And I'm not trying to knock it or anything. I'm just saying it would be nice to see it from their perspective, how efficiently they will run, how the hotel treated them as well. I can't imagine any different from us, but still, it'd be nice to know these things,
Yeah, absolutely. And it's worth noting as well that if, like, I was fortunate enough to stay at Hilton on 2 other occasions in 2 other parts of the country over the last year, for various reasons. One was work, and both times, all of the things that are happening at the Hilton Metropole were happening at those other Hiltons. This is company wide. So problems with your room key, that's a company wide thing. Problems with you getting debited twice for your deposit, company wide. The now choice to, do you want to check in early? That's an extra 40, 50 quid. That's company wide. Now, these aren't popular decisions. Of course they're not. Nobody in their right mind would think so. But they are not directed at the Metropole, and they're certainly not directed at TFNation attendees. That is, unfortunately, the way it is for everyone. But actually, Tony, considering some of the stuff that you were saying as well, so in the Facebook group, although there's people like Jay who mentioned that he might follow, John's lead and look at the Moxie, and a lot of people are now looking at the Moxie, I think thanks to John. But others like Dan and Tim were noting that the sheer cost, I think one of them said they spent like 400 quid in the bar over the weekend. And that's really starting to hurt folk. Do you think that at some point enough people will say, for instance, imagine next year everyone decides, or a certain group of people decides they want to go to the Moxie. Do you think that you're going to end up with people just going and socializing there in the evening purely because of the cost?
I would think so, yeah. I mean, because if you're paying £8 for a pint, right? I mean, whatever you're drinking. I mean, even a glass of Coke was £5. So it is tempting to go. You know what? We'll stay in the other hotel. It's probably going to be cheaper over the weekend to stay there anyway. And then if we're getting drink, because you shared the menu, didn't you, John?
Yes,
the menu, and it was £6, so it was a little bit cheaper. But £6 is overall over the weekend is better than £8.
£8, yeah. It's £2 cheaper. So
it is, but those 2 quids add up, don't they?
Yes, exactly. I mean, like I said, I had a couple of people generally asking me, and there was Jamie, J-Bot, he kept saying, are you going to go and get a drink at the Moxie and let us know how much it is, all that kind of thing. And I eventually, literally on the Sunday, I went back to the hotel room to actually get my hip flask. Don't do that, people, but I got my hip flask.
That's why I went to the bar.
Yeah, I went to the bar.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I went and got went and got myself a pint from the Moxie bar, and it literally was £6. And I asked them what time it was open till, but they're not open as late as the Hilton bar though.
Yep.
I think they're open till 2 a.m. So at least you've got all day up to 2 a.m. And then if you want to, you can always move over to the Hilton later on if you want to be a bit later. But no, I mean, to be honest, like Sam's just coming in now saying about the like talking about the Moxie and everything. It is a lot cheaper alternative. The rooms are cheaper at the Moxie. It only cost me and Sam 200 each for 4 days. We had to pay, what was it, £54, I think it was, for 4 days for breakfast, which equates to about roughly £15 a day, which isn't bad. That's still cheaper than Hilton.
Just as Sam was saying there, I think because they plan so far ahead, I think they haven't got to August yet, so I wouldn't worry right now.
Yeah.
I would say as well,
for folks, August, aren't we? So.
For folks looking at it as well, obviously one of the downsides with the TFNation Facebook group is that some people will always, especially newcomers, might react to certain news a little bit more excitably than some of us veterans. So, for instance, just after the event, some people looked online and tried to book at the Moxie for next year, and it came out to like £900. The fact is that far ahead, like even Google Maps and their hotel app, I think it's only this weekend that they're catching up to be able to even look at potential prices for hotels. Most hotels are going to just not even bother because they've got other stuff to think about for the next couple of months. So don't worry, stuff will come out. But I would say this year, and this is something that's quite exciting in a way, is that, yes, there will be the TFNation hotel release. But in fact, I might as well ask you both now. Are you, in the past, those free discounted hotel rooms, which I know are not that many, and there's like 1,500 people trying to get in now, are you that bothered about, like, if you miss out on them this next year?
No, I'm not bothered at all, really. I mean, as long as sorry, there's just a police helicopter going over. I do apologise.
That's okay. They won't find me.
No, but yeah, like I say, I'm not bothered as long as I'm reasonably close, walking distance away, so that I can, once I've been to the dealer's room, take my purchases, put them in the room, and then come back. I mean, the Moxie is literally about the same distance away as the dealer's room is to the bar if you go up the back. Yeah. It's about the same distance away. So you're not really walking any further. In fact, probably a bit closer. As you come out the dealer's room, you can go straight down the little passageway there, and you're there pretty much.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, convenience, I ain't bothered. Even if I had to get a taxi there and back, I'd probably wait in the bar. If somebody else is sharing in the same hotel, we can taxi there, taxi back, So I even just give it a nice long walk, because sometimes that long walk can be, a bit relaxed, a bit quiet, it can, again, be beneficial to you. So either way, I ain't bothered. As long as I can put my stuff somewhere, I can sleep and have a shower, I ain't bothered where it is.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same as Tony's thought there. I mean, to be honest, I used to kind of get a little bit anxious when they released the discounted room rate back when I started going, like when they first went to the Hilton. I always tried for conveniency. That is the key word here. Conveniency. I always tried to be where the event is at the same hotel, the Hilton. But just I've kind of adopted over the last couple of years with like the issues. Even though our good friend Chris Evans, America's ass himself, he's the one that kind of did all like me and Tony sorted out our rooms on our behalf, and we just paid in the money, and that's basically how we went about it. And that's just the system that we went with for a while. But I just decided. Me and Sam both decided. We thought, let's just try somewhere else, and I'm kind of glad we did, because I think we dodged a bullet this year when it comes financial wise. Just in case we did get double charged for the room and that didn't happen at all at the Moxie. So I just think, for convenience's sake, it's literally a stone throw away from the Hilton anyway. So it's not like you have to go all the way to the side of the airport.
I mean, you can't even miss it. If you're gonna go to the Resort World, it's right there in front of you as you're walking up to the Resort World. You can't miss it. And plus, it's the first thing you see when you come out of the NEC on the other side. It's right there in front of you. So
it's a nice walk as well, because on a night time, the Resort World's all lit up and everything. It's a nice nighttime walk. You can sit on the bench out there and have a bit of fresh air if you wanted. Before retiring for the night. But it's just. it's not bad. I don't have a problem. I can walk quite a lot, me. So it doesn't really bother me. But other people may be different.
Mhm.
But I think the Moxie is a good alternative. I think, and I
If
think a lot of people are considering it for next year.
if here's a hard choice for you. Say situation changes next year, you have a budget, and your budget will only allow two options. It will allow you to spend 2 nights, so that would be Friday to Sunday in the Hilton, or it will allow you to spend 4 nights, so that's Thursday to Monday, in a hotel that's a 15-minute walk away. Now,
Mm.
based on your experience, John, what would you pick? Would you pick the convenience or would you pick the days?
I
I
picked the
told you
dates.
this wasn't going to be easy.
No,
Mm.
I mean, to be honest, I'm not bothered about conveniency at all. I mean, even if I have to, like Tony said, get a taxi,
Mm,
if it has to be somewhere on the airport side, okay, so be it. Like I say, it's just a place to put your head down on a night and get rid of your stuff. But it's just, I mean, like I say, I mean, I'm happy trying the Moxie, try and get in there again next year. I think there's going to be a good group of us at the Moxie next year. I think a lot of people are
mm.
looking at it. So once the dates, like with Sam saying a moment ago, with the dates availability, I think somebody said around September it was best
Yeah,
time to look,
yeah,
possibly for those.
Well, like you said
definitely.
about changing having two nights in the Hilton over say 4 nights at the Moxie. If you're going for the weekend and you can only get 2 days, then there's and then people, oh, I'll book that. I'll book the 2 days there, then 2 other days in a different hotel. Then you've got the added annoyance of checking in, getting your stuff, packing it up, go to another hotel, and do it. So if you just get 4 days at the Moxie, just go there instead. Like I say,
Yeah,
you
Yeah,
said earlier, it's literally 2 minutes walk.
yeah. I mean,
You know,
like I said, it is. It's just for, if you want to just go nip and get rid of your stuff. I mean, the only downside is with like going to the airport side because there was a couple of people that was at the airport side. If it works for you, or good for you, go for it. But it's just the problem is that like I think it was it Dalton I think I was talking to. He was at the airport side and he had to. I don't know. He had to kind of like get taxis and stuff because he didn't realise the NEC shut at half 11,
yeah, it
12.
does, yeah.
ah,
So he wasn't able to get to the monorail.
well
So that's the problem.
that's really weird because that's for a start. That's it's one of the things that I think we've been bleating on about for
Mm.
donkey's years is the
Yeah,
after
no,
midnight thing. But
Yeah.
also as well, I found out when I went up there and had a look around, actually those airport hotels are a very short walk from the station.
Mm.
I'd say short walk. They're a 10-minute walk from the train station.
mm,
So the whole monorail thing is kind of a bit of a random, like, you don't really need to do it.
No.
I'll do a bit more research on it this year, but I think for people at the airport, I think especially late at night, there is an easier way to get to and from the hotel. So
Mm.
don't stress about that, folks. But that's really interesting. Now, also as well, I'm going to mercifully grant Tony the release of hearing Knowlsy go through all the comments one by one because I think it's best for everyone. So I'm just going to say hello to everyone there. Good to see chat.
Mm.
I appreciate, Andy Prime, the whole spending a fortune on
Mm.
Coke at the Hilton. That's
Yeah.
one of the things that can really stick in your throat, and I don't blame you. And also as well, the parking, which is always a little bit shocking. Hello, Mr. Raymond. I hope you're doing well. And I believe I
Well,
saw Sammy in there as well, didn't
you
I?
did.
yeah.
So,
There we
Sammy's
go.
well, we've got
Hello,
5 in the
Sam.
chat right now. So,
Oh, lovely. It's not
yes, but no, like I said about the parking though, I mean, that can be expensive. I mean, 2016, me and my ex came in the car and we paid, I believe, 2019, not 2016, 2019, and I think we paid, I think it was 40 for the weekend back then.
Mm.
But then with COVID and everything like that, everything's changed. I mean, you've got to look at it like this: is it worth you driving up there in a car with your petrol money and then parking, or just pay the same money or maybe a little bit less coming on coach or coming on train? Yes, it's
Yeah.
a little bit more inconvenient, but it could save you that extra few quid.
It's amazing. You guys have literally segued into the next thing I was going to talk about, which was the travel. Now, most people believe initially that they don't have an option when it comes to travel. Most people do have options. The fact is that some of them are ridiculously expensive or very,
Yes.
very fiddly, and others, and this is interesting, and it actually ties into Sammy. Hey, Sammy, because he mentioned about like using National Express, and for
Yes.
him, I believe it was an option that he moved to and found it a lot easier than expected. Now, guys, did you way back when in the days of auto assembly, did you try and go by train, or was it always
Yes.
coach?
Right.
I did. The first, I think, 2010, 11, and 12, I think we did training, and after that, it got too expensive, and we found National Express, and we just kept going via that ever since. So,
Well,
like, the first 3 years was train for me.
well, 2009, 2010, I did train.
Mm-hmm.
And back then it was reasonably cheap.
It was a lot cheaper back then, yeah.
Yeah, and then like the first year at the Hilton, the first auto assembly at the Hilton was the first time we went on the coach, and we've done coach every year because it's about 32 quid, isn't it, thereabouts?
Yeah.
So I'd rather pay 32 quid or over £100 on a train. So it's yes, trains are nicer and quicker, and you can get up and walk around. Buses, you're kind of stuck in your seat the whole time, And yes, especially coming home can be an absolute ball ache, can't it, John? If it's hot and busy and somebody sat next to you and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it can get frustrating, but you got to look at it like this. When I'm coming home, everything's done. I've enjoyed myself. It's just now get home. I don't care if the bus is busy or anything like that. And just, I want to get home now. That's it. So 32 quid, I'm happy to go on the bus. It's, you know what I mean?
Cool. No, that's interesting. I am going to just jump back here because Ray just came in a little bit late for what we were talking about. But I mentioned before, Ray, that Hilton early check-in thing, that's across the entire company. Yeah. I had that in Manchester as well. So it's, just be aware, they're not targeting TFNation or even just the Hilton. It's across the company. Nobody's happy with it. But that, if anything, that's kind of driving this narrative at the moment where the Hilton isn't as vital as it used to be, which is great because it's opening up people to more choices. But jumping... Oh, and also, I think Sam said something about the switching to the NEC. Let's come back to that right at the end because that's
that was one at the beginning, yeah.
Right. But so... when it comes to travel, though, something you mentioned, obviously, trains are so ridiculously expensive. But another thing that people don't take into account is something, and I think it was you, Tony, that mentioned this. People in the back of their head, they go, "Well, I say someone else. They're going from Hull to Birmingham, and in their head they go, well, Hull to Birmingham. That's fine. I don't need to worry about anything else. I don't need to worry about any other expenses because I'll be in Birmingham." What could possibly be an extra expense? Well, you guys, you come into, I believe it's Digbeth, isn't it? The bus station.
Yes.
And then you choose now, and then you have two options. You can walk, was it 15 minutes to Birmingham New Street and take a train.
Yes.
Which, by the way, for those wondering, in terms of hot and uncomfortable, I don't think anything beats the difficulty in catching trains from Birmingham New Street at the moment. It's really, really bad. But also, you have the choice of going in a taxi. And this is one of the things where you guys have solved a couple of things in one issue. A couple of, whatever the phrase is, two birds with one stone?
Yeah.
And that is that you go as a group, so you've got that social element. You can look after each other. And then when you get to the coach station, you get a taxi together. Yeah. And that helps. And although it's expensive, and I know it's getting pricier each year,
well,
you can at least get there.
Yeah, just a segue, just slightly. When we got there, we got a black cab, which probably was not the best idea.
We usually always do get black cabs outside of that.
Yeah, and it's usually been about 20 odd quid, which between four of us, £5. So it's about the same as the train anyway, thereabouts. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a bit less. But I'm not going to quibble over a couple of quid. If it's there, taxi's there, we'll jump in, we'll go. But coming back, we rang, was it Vizu, I think it is. I've got the card downstairs. 14 quid between four of us, which worked out at, what's that, like maths is rubbish, but about £4.50 thereabouts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
So,
was
you
cheap.
know.
It was cheaper going back to Digbeth
Yeah.
than coming to the Hilton. It was mad.
But the other problem I've got though is because my asthma is really bad. The walk across from the station to the New Street would be pretty bad for me, if that makes sense.
It is pretty hilly. It's a big hill there as well.
So if you've got health problems as well.
Yeah, as somebody who I go to Digbeth because I have a keen interest in the street art. I know Digbeth really, really well. It's one of the pains that I've never realized that you guys were going in and out there, because often the day after a TFN, I would be in Digbeth. So you guys would probably be leaving literally 100 meters away from where I was taking photos. But you're right, the hills and the walk, although it's only 15 minutes, it is punishing, especially if you have luggage. So I think you guys as well, and this is the classic thing, it's the same with the hotels. You're not spending a fortune on the train, you're making do with the coach, but you save money, so therefore you can afford a bit of luxury and just get a taxi. It makes perfect sense. It's the sort of thing a lot of people should think about.
Yeah,
and
it's convenient as well, because the taxi then, instead of, because like the train, it takes you to the station at the NEC, then you got to walk from the NEC to the hotel, and it's quite a walk still, you know. Whereas the taxi drops you right outside the door, and then when you're leaving, you book your taxi, picks you up right outside the door, and takes you to where you need to be. Which again is best convenience in the world, because then you're not carting your luggage around, and especially when you've bought stuff and you've got extra bags, and you know you've now added to your luggage.
Yeah.
I can already feel my shoulders there and just thinking about it. You know what I mean? So then the good thing about the Digbeth station is we always get there about an hour, and then there's a little cafe there. Go and get something to eat, cup of tea, and then wait for your bus. Because I mean, like I've said to you before a million times, the best thing to do is get to where you need to be, station or wherever, an hour before.
Get there early.
At least you can sit and have something to eat, you know, a cup of tea, you know, while you're waiting for the bus, instead of just getting there just as the bus pulls away, you know?
Yeah.
I will just
needless stress.
I will just say quickly, just to add on to Tony there, is that with National Express, I've come to understand, because obviously I've used National Express since like 2014, 14. So, because obviously there was a couple of times where Tony didn't join us, it was just me and Sam and everything. So, but for me, it's just when it comes to, I've got the train of thought's gone completely out of my head now. Well, no, it's just with National Express, I'll just say I think it's just a better option. I know some territories that apparently there's lesser routes or something. There's not as many coaches in one day. Some it's literally just the one. It's real random times. I will say is that National Express is not a good thing just for going for the day, like a day trip out, because you'll lose so much of the day for going and coming. It has to be at least a minimum of a weekend.
Yeah,
like a couple days, because that with the train, that going via train works out better for going for a day trip out, because you can kind of work it out. But I say if it's like for us, Hull to Birmingham is via train is about 4 hours, for 3.5 4 hours. Same for duration of the coach, about 4 hours or so. So it's quite a lengthy trip, and if you think about. I think, you know, so it makes sense using it for going to TF for an event like a convention or something that's at least over a weekend, because you can plan it. I mean, for us, when it comes to the National Express, there's two options from Hull. There's, I think, obviously a morning one. I think there's an afternoon one about 5 o'clock-ish or something like that. So there's two in one day services coming from Hull alone. So there's two options. But yeah, I think National Express is a good option. And coming back to when we kind of get to Digbeth coach station, it's just being in a group, because obviously we meet. Obviously, Lawrence, he lives in Leicester, so he's a lot closer. So he tends to get a bus or something from Leicester or Market Harbour or wherever he's from, and he then gets to Digbeth, and he waits for us there, and we all gather, meet up, and then we get a taxi. So between 4 people,
you don't have to wait long, to be fair, usually.
Yeah, I mean, black cabs are pretty proficient in that way because they're just a taxi rank outside, and yes, you pay more, but if you're in a group, it's not too much of a problem. But if you're a solo traveller, I would recommend Watts New Street because it will
Yeah.
be cheaper than getting a taxi on your own. Otherwise, you're paying 30 quid for a taxi on your own. It's a lot.
Or maybe as well for people watching. If I mean, I know first time it's a lot to ask, and also there's the trust issue. But if you're going for a second time or a third time, and at least you start to put some faces to names, find out if somebody is going the same route that you're doing.
Yeah,
Even if it's just a case of you can both jump on a train or you both jump on a coach, you've just got that connection. You've just got a way to get yourself into the TFN mood a little bit earlier. Plus, as well, you can look out for each other. Little things like just if you want to grab the bathroom at a station,
yeah,
you don't have to drag all your luggage in there. You just feel a little bit more focused and centered on the event by the time you get there, which is a good thing. I do want to add in here. I know this might seem a little bit of a jump, but this is the other expense, and it's the big thing as well. Because for you this year, John, this was a huge challenge for you, and that was getting time off work or
yes,
getting your time off agreed. Now,
yes.
what was your experience for those who don't know?
Yeah, basically, I've always kind of booked off all that duration of time, and I've always taken a week off over the dates.
Mm,
When it comes to my work, I only work 4-day weeks. I have four. I work four. It's four on, 3 off. And that's how I kind of plan my holidays. So kind of like so what I do is when I come back on the Monday, I take off the rest of that week in
mm,
leading into the weekend of the next weekend, and then I go back the following Monday. That's usually what I do when it comes to TFN. So I originally put in my holiday requests at work for those dates, for that week coming home, because I need my sleep. I need to hibernate for about at least a year
mm.
after TFNation. But
Lad, a week later, I was still tired after about 12 hours sleep a night.
But so long story short, I put in my holiday request in, and basically my manager came to me and it was rejected. I was like, damn it. And I go to my manager and I just said, was there a possibility of at least trying to get a couple days? Because I come up with a certain excuse. I'm not going to say just in case I shoot myself in the foot, but you never know who's watching out there on the webs. But yeah, I come up with a little excuse, and he kind of green lit it a little bit, and he gave me I managed to get the Thursday travelling to, and the Monday coming home. So at least he managed to give me 2 days holiday, which allowed me to travel to and from, which I was glad of. So at least
Mm.
I managed to get there. But it was looking, because obviously August is peak time for a lot of people.
Yeah,
I work with a lot of people who are Polish, so they tend to fly back home to Poland and spend time with family.
yeah.
So that is where we're getting into this problem. But I'm hoping with next year, with it being July, end of July, beginning of August, I might just be able to
Well, I would
accompany those dates.
I would put in your holiday dates now and say, look, these are the dates I need off for next year.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with my place. I don't know if I can put it in too early. Like
But
almost like some places
yeah.
you can put holiday requests in for a year in advance. My place, it's January to November. So I can big literally after Christmas, after New Year, as soon as it's the 1st of January, I can put it in. So
And I
that's my
want to
plan.
put something out there as well, because I appreciate, and I'm glad, John, that you said that, because there are some workplaces that are incredibly strict. Like you can get a couple of weeks' notice on your holiday or a
Mm.
month's notice on your holiday,
Yeah.
or you can book it a year in advance, and then 2 weeks before the event, they can decide to cancel it. I've been in that situation where I booked off a week once, and then literally in the week before the event, the manager, who was let's just say aggressive, decided to punish me for an imagined slight by making me come in on the Monday to an office in London.
Mm.
So you can imagine Sunday night, I take the photo, and this is back when we were doing the big group photos. I take the photo, I go to bed, I wake up late, I run full pelt to the train station, get on a train, go to London, work for a day, get there and find out the manager that made me come in has taken the day off anyway and has done it purely out of spite. And then I come back after work to the Hilton on a Monday night and have the rest of my one day off. So it happens to everyone. And I have seen this. I saw this last year in the Going to TFNation fan group. And that was that somebody, I believe, only literally gets a week's notice on holiday. And so I was going to ask you guys, say next year, say employment situations change and you're in a situation where maybe you only get a month's notice on your holidays. Would you bite the bullet, save up and invest in the travel, the ticket, the hotel, everything without knowing that your holiday was guaranteed? But at least, and the caveat being that you would organize everything to make sure you could get refunds for everything. Or would you literally hold off everything until the last minute, get the holiday, and then mad scramble to try and get stuff?
Well, for me personally, I would just, it's a job at the end of the day, and I would go to TFN because I've paid money, I've done this, I've done the request, and if they give me earache about it, I'll say, look, I give you plenty of notice, and it's your responsibility to tell me either yes or no, definitively yes or no, if I can go when I've booked the holiday off. I know, like you say, you don't get it in time, but most employers should give you that plenty of time. Because like I say, if you booked a holiday to Spain or somewhere, and you've got your tickets and stuff like that, and then they go, no, you can't go. I think it's not fair. It's not fair, basically, because you've booked your holiday off, and then, like I said, just spite sometimes managers. I had a little bit of a when I used to work at the Entertainer, and when I got the job, I said, right, these are the weekends off every year. They ain't going to change. They're the weekends off. Second weekend of August. That's it, right? And then my manager was pretty decent guy, and he's like, "Yeah, no problem. Yeah. You give it because August was a low priority because everybody else was off July, September, and all that sort of stuff. So nobody was off that, and there's only 4 or 5 of us working there anyway. And he stayed like that for ages. And then the last year, 2019, again, I was with me ex, and I rang up and said, "Oh, when am I in next?" Because obviously I ain't got the rota for the week I was in, and I went, "Oh, you're in today?" And I'm like, "What do you mean I'm in today? I'm on my way back. There's no way I can get back in time to do a shift." Anyway, it turns out they've made a mistake. They didn't see the rota, and they collared me in the office, and I didn't like assistant manager or the supervisor, and I just went like this. I went, and then slowly pointed to the thing where my name was, and I went, "Did you bother reading that or not?" But then I'm quite belligerent, so it's probably why I'm unemployed.
The challenge is as well, and let's face it, is that and this is something that, funnily enough, my parents once said about working in banking, is that they go, "Well, your manager can't do that because that's not fair," and it's like, unfortunately, that's not the way of the world, and a lot of employers, let's face it, downright awful to their staff as long as they're okay. Some places are lovely, some places are supportive, some places are not so good. So when although we can be like, hey, screw them, we're going to TFN, I do realize, especially as well for those with families or commitment, like big financial commitments, like it absolutely kicks your ass if you can't go. And somebody who has like taken time away and not been for years at TFNation, it does hurt. But it just means that this then becomes your main goal for next year, not just to get the time off, to maybe even be in a better job that will allow you to get the time off. So,
but it's also worth checking your company's holiday policy.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
Some managers just go, right, you're not getting it off. And then you go, well, actually, I'll give you plenty of time. I'll give you, whatever procedure you need to go through, fill that out properly, and only now. So then you can look at it like that and go, right, I want to see the policy, actually. And I'll give you time, well within time. No one else has requested this off. So why are you waiting until now to tell me I can have it off or not? That's what it's a good thing to at least look at. At least information you can, because information is ammunition, as they say.
Absolutely. Knowing is half the battle.
Yep. I mean, with me, I mean, with my job, I mean, it's not when it comes to kind of like when it comes to holidays and everything, I've never really had a problem except for this year. This was the first time I had
Yeah.
an issue trying to get a holiday request off or greenlit. Or yeah. So basically, with my place, like I've already said, I mean, you get, I get, I think I get up to about, I get roughly it equates to about 5 weeks holiday per year. And I can start put holiday requests in from the 1st of January. So like as soon as it's January, put them in. They'll. So it's like first come first serve sort of basis. So with me, the reason why I had an issue, I neglected to tell before, but the reason why I had an issue was because other people wanted this a lot of time off over the same duration of time. So over that span of like that 2 week span from me wanting that time off and coming back, my manager was off over that time as well. My team leader was off, and another person that's just one of us, not a normal person. I don't know what you want to call them, but they're just not a manager. So there was at least, including myself, there was 4 people that wanted roughly about those dates off, which means that's too many people off at once, which is why it was originally rejected. But one good thing my manager did do, he worked with me, he spoke to the rest of them and come to an arrangement and managed to kind of work it out so everybody was happy, which is good.
Man.
I think
Good
more
man.
managers should do that.
Yeah.
So that's why he gave me those 2 days, because I said, at least can you give me just those 2 days? And I like Gareth just said there about a holiday and a family event or something.
Yeah.
That is actually what I said. That was my excuse.
Not a lie.
That was my excuse. I actually said I had a family wedding and I was the best man. So what can I say with that? And he greenlit it. So
then his employer watched this video and then called him the office. Sorry, John.
I will say as well that as somebody who's been there and had to work the next day, it's a rotten thing. Sam, I totally get it as well, that it's you feel like hell. The funny thing is, though, if people say, "Oh, why do you look like crap?" It's like, well, I wouldn't have worked this day if it hadn't been for the situation. I wouldn't have turned up like this. But I can't cancel something that I spent time and money, and this is the high point of the year. The challenge, though, is sometimes you don't get an option. And with the nicest will in the world, especially if, say, your co-workers have families and they have family holidays. And remember, to them, this is their TFNation. It's their family holiday. So, it's having a manager that knows some tolerance is always a good thing. Here's a big thing for you guys, though. And we will come back on to extra days at the Hilton and socializing later. But say as a dutiful employer, I could only manage to work out 4 days for you. You have a choice. You have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Which would you pick in terms of days off?
Well, probably Monday, because you've got to travel back, is probably the logical choice. Because, I mean, if you're 4 hours away at best, if they want you in at 9 o'clock, you ain't getting home in time. There's no way. So Mondays have to have the day off. But if you do it smartly, you can ask for Thursday as your normal day off. You can I've done that before. I've rearranged days off. So I've worked like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday, my day off, just my normal day off in the week, then my holiday days. And then say Monday again, you can rearrange, or make sure that's my day off. So you can just get your 2 weekend days and then your 2 days at either side of it as your days off, as your normal days off. So
I've even done half days when I was
exactly,
working in the city.
Day,
So it all depends on how. I mean, the nice thing is, it's one of those situations as well. Once you've been through it, as both of you have said as well, you see the need to become more knowledgeable about your firm's policies, what you can ask for. As well that if there's a particular manager that just wants to be a dick, you find ways to work around them, and you swallow your pride and you're nice to them for at least a week or two beforehand. All these little tricks. And you also know as well the things you can't do. If you jump up and down and go, it's not fair, I demand my right. Well, that's fine. They won't give a shit. It's unfortunately, they can be just as annoying as you can be in that situation. So you just have to work it how you can. However, the big thing is, even when I got shut down and was told I had to come in on a Monday, and yes, that meant traveling in from from Birmingham to London on that Monday morning with about 2 hours sleep. The fact was, it didn't matter. I was still going to go to the event. I was still going to get my TFNation, or I think auto assembly fix as it was at the time. It's a pain. It's not perfect, but you learn it for the next year.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I say, it's just not like I said earlier, knowing what your actual holiday policies are at work, when to book and all that sort of stuff, and then like I said, rearranging days off and favours for other members of staff. Can I swap the Thursday off? I'll do your next day up, whatever. And then and favours from other members of staff is, as daft as it sounds, and they go, "Oh, I need this day. Cool, yeah, I'll do that for you, no problem. I'll swap shifts," and then you can swap it around. Obviously get it all cleared and stuff, but there's ways around it.
Yeah. So build yourself a rep as the most friendly, the most dedicated person for the month or two before the holiday, and you almost create such a good aura around yourself that nobody dares take it away from you.
Extra shifts as well. If they ring you up and say do extra shifts, yeah, cool, yeah, I'll do that, no problem.
Good stuff.
And then, like I say, you can. It's good to write all this down as well. I used to do it as well a long time ago. I was writing, well, I did that day, I did an extra shift there, I did this. And I said, well, I did all these extra shifts for you. Can I have that extra day off? And usually go, yeah, I'll go on then. Because like I said, build up a good rep and a good repertoire of favours and stuff like that. But don't forget, you've got to do a favour for them, which is fine. Don't just go right, because they won't do it again as well.
Yeah,
so I've learned that the hard way too. Whereas, I did a favour for somebody, and then I went, right, I need this particular day off, and they wouldn't do it. And I went, right, I'm not doing it then. Sorry, next time. I did 2 shifts for you, and then when I needed a day off, you wouldn't do it. So sorry.
Well, as the saying goes, you scratch my back, I scratch yours.
Correct.
It's true. Now,
but yeah, I mean, sorry.
It is true. No. It does work, and especially things like this. You can rearrange everything you want, and then jobs are good. And, it does really work.
Yeah, I mean, like I was just going to come in there and just say about my job. I mean, obviously, fully understanding your company's policy is very important here. I mean, like I say, I've got a full-on, considering I just work in a factory, but I do have a full-on printout with everything in black and white, so I know I can go via that. So, but yeah, I mean, with my job, like I just said a moment ago, when you just asked the question, Adam, about what time off would you get, if you were struggling, and like obviously just this year, like I just said a moment ago, like I work 4 on, 3 off, so I work Monday to Thursday and I get Friday, Saturday, Sunday off every week. So even though I'm still full time, I'm not part time or anything. It's just how my calendar year works, how my weeks work. So basically, how I work out my time off for TFNation is obviously we get there the Thursday, so I take the Thursday off. So and I take off the Monday right through to the following Monday. So I go back the following Monday. So I take off 5 days altogether.
Yeah.
And that basically adds up the weekend of TFNation and the weekend after, and it adds it up as one full week.
Nice.
So that's how I operate. That's how I work it out. So like with this year, if push came to the shove and I have the same problems as they did this time around, then I'd need the Thursday for travel. I need to at least travel for coming home like I did this year. So the Thursday and the Monday is a good thing because at least it gives me travel time. But the problem is, it was a bit of a killer that first week because literally, when I got back from TFNation, when I got back the Monday, we didn't get home till like 7:30, 8 o'clock in the night after dropping. And then, literally, I got home, had something to eat, and then I didn't go to stupidly because I was still buzzing. I didn't go to sleep till gone midnight.
Yes,
I was up for work on the Tuesday morning at 5:30 a.m.
Oh, Jesus!
So I only had about 3 or 4 hours sleep, and I was knackered for the rest of the week. But yeah, I got it done. But I mean, like I said, the good thing is I only had 3 days to do that week, so that's fine. But yeah, just if you can't, I mean, like the guys have just been saying, like, I mean, with my place, when it comes to doing favours, the only thing I could do is work the Friday now and again because the way it works at my place is it's basically Monday to Thursdays normal operation, but then Fridays are basically it's basically limited staff, so they don't need everybody in, so they give people it as optional. So
Okay.
you can come in if you want for overtime. If you don't, no stress. So basically, that's one way to kind of do a favour. I said, oh, I don't mind if the short staff say my section on the Friday, I can always say,
I'll
I'll
do
do
that.
the Friday then, and if you can give me this day off or whatever. That's probably the only way I could probably work it the system
Yeah.
round at my place.
Well, that's the thing as well. I mean, remember, different employers, different situations. Again, it's like we can't, and we've got to be so careful about this. We can't judge. Oh, you must do this because we have no idea what your working situation is like. I know, for instance, and this hopefully this will put every argument to bed. I know at least 2-3 people that you guys know very, very well, and they work in the care sector. They probably don't talk about it a lot, but they have 24-hour shifts because they are dealing with monitoring individuals in a delicate nature. And this is the way that some of these industries work, that they will do these massive long shifts with very, very short breaks that they can top up some sleep, but they are basically monitoring and caring for people in vulnerable situations. Turning around and saying to them, hey, you only need to do 35 hours this week and that's it. You can tell your employer to go screw himself. You're taking your time off. That situation does not apply, okay, to certain
Yeah,
jobs. It's just the
that
way it goes. So
that's true. I mean, everybody's in different work. I mean, like you said, like you just said, like could be in social services, so could be in some kind of social job where their job is going around caring for elderly people or
yeah,
disabled people, things like that. And you don't know what people's occupation is until you get to know them. And I do feel for people that say each year that I wish I could come, but I mean, when I ever talk about TFNation and I get comments from some people saying I can't come this year, and I'm always like, oh, that's a shame. You know, you will be there in spirit. That's
yeah.
just how I reply to that. But I do feel for them because if that was me, I would be heartbroken being able to having to miss out on TFNation because to be honest, I've had a good run, to be honest, because I've been going since 2010 and I've never had an issue. I've been going since 2010 to the point where I'm part of the bloody furniture now, I think. I think I'm the lampshade that looks about 60 years out of place in the in the living room.
I
But
was going to make a comment about a slightly worn sofa, but I'm not going to.
It's the same. I'm like part of the furniture too. You know, people come up to me and I've been named in the brochure. You know.
I'm going to come back to this, gentlemen. I'm going
Okay.
to halt you there, and we're going to switch. We're going to switch topic, but this is just going to be a
Okay.
couple of delicate questions, if I may.
Absolutely.
Now we've gone through kind of expenses very, very briefly. Again, I'm not going in depth here because we can't cover all bases.
No.
But I wanted to ask you guys a question about money. Now we're all grown adults here, and we've known each other long enough that. You know, I know, we've all been to TFNation some years when we've been flush, when the jobs are going good, when the money's coming in, when we've had gifts. We've also been to TFNation when we are skin as bugger. We've got nothing to our name. How important is it in terms of throughout the year? How much importance do you put on saving for TFNation throughout the year versus impulsive spending? And also, how important is it for you to be comfortable with the money that you have at TFNation, no matter if it's a huge stack or a tiny amount? How important is it for you to just go, this is what I got. It doesn't matter the situation. I'm not going to moan it or bemoan it or be arrogant because I got too much. This is it. What are your views on this? And Tony, I'll start with you.
Well, basically, I tend to put a little away every month for TFN, you know, and then so this year's been a bit up and down. I've had to sell some things and stuff as well to get some money, and I ended up with a fair stack, shall we say. But I wanted to go, do you know what? I'm having a good time. I've had some ups and downs these last few years, with health and stuff like that. And I thought, I'm going to save up and sell stuff. And I got a sizable, slice of cheddar cheese, and I'm going to spend it. That was what it saved it for. And I thought, do you know what? I get paid the next week. And if it leaves me skint for a week, fine. I've got plenty of food in. I made sure I had money to come home, go to the supermarket and all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, I saved it up. That's what I was spending. Once it was gone, that's it, done. I've got some expensive things, and all good. But I have gone in previous years with, a lot of money and only bought like 3 or 4 things, and then I've gone in previous years like with not a lot of money, bought a few choice items here and there. But sometimes, this is going to sound real weird. Sometimes with not so much money, you tend to be more selective on what you buy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So instead of, Grace is gonna tell me off because she told me off. Instead of blowing your load on something really expensive, she did tell me off.
She told me about that.
And then, I'm sorry, Grace. I know you watch this.
Sorry, Grace.
Sorry, but it is like that. You can go in and spend. I mean, I've seen people just chuck money at and cards going here and there and everywhere. Well, that's fine. If you saved it up, great. That's what you saved it up for. But like I said, if you've got, say, I don't know, after your hotel and everything, food and everything, left you with a few £100, you can go in there, get this, get that, a few of these bits, bits and bobs. And, you can spend a £5 or £500. It doesn't really matter what you buy. Did you have a good time? That's the key factor. Did I have a good time? Yes. Did I spend loads of money? Yes. Did I spend a little bit of money? Yes. Yeah. Did you have a good time though? Yes. Yeah. That's the answer we're looking at.
I think there's a factor. Sorry, there's talking over you there, but no. I think there's also quite a little factor as well. Depends of what you're going to for TFNation for, because there's different sides of it. Because you've got those that are there just purely for the toys. They're not for social interaction. They're there just literally straight to the dealer room, early
get
access,
their stuff, gone,
get in there, gone. And then you've got those that are there for the social side as well as the toys, and then you've got those that you've got different sides of it. You got your dayers, you got your weekenders, and then that's that. But yeah, I mean, sorry to jump in there.
No, go for it, man.
But I mean, for me, when it comes like this year, for instance, I will be honest, I did struggle to get the money together. And it was over the last couple of weeks or so, no, not a couple of weeks, but roughly about a little over a month before TFNation came around, and I knew I had, as long, my mindset is that I need the money for my half towards the rooms that I need to pay Sam. So that was priority number one. Make sure I've at least got that when it comes to spending the money. So I at least had that. That's priority. I owe somebody money. That's going to get paid, because that's how I've been brought up. If you owe somebody money, you pay it back. That's just how I've been brought up, and that's a good way of living, I guess. So at least managed to get that. I thought, fantastic. And I was like, now spending money. How am I going to get that in time? So I will say I managed to do it on my own, and I managed to get it, put it all separate in a little paper envelope, put it all separate to my American money. I did borrow a little bit, I must admit, to kind of like help me out for my savings. So it was kind of like a Frankenstein thing, a mixture of kind of borrowing and that. But I managed to get a decent amount. I'm not going to say exactly how much I had, but I had a decent amount, and I did come home. I think I came home with about 50 or 60 quid left in my wallet.
Cool.
So, I mean, that money I had it primarily in cash. I did have a card on me as well, just in case. But I primarily was in cash. And basically, that money I had in my wallet was for food, drink, as well as toys. Yep. So it was kind of like the whole thing was that was it. That's what I've got. I can go a little bit more, say if we go for a meal out, for instance, and it's people are paying card or whatever. So if we all go for a meal, which we did, the Friday, the Thursday, we all went to TGI's, and a couple other people and that. So I kind of leave my card, my plastic for like if we're going for a meal.
Yep.
and I can't pay cash, So that's kind of like that. But as long, like Sam just said quickly in the chat, as long as
I saw. Yeah.
he's just said like pay the bill of the hotel, which is priority, and then obviously food and drink, which is perfect. What he's just said there. I mean, like I say, Sam doesn't really collect anymore anyway, so he goes there for the social side more than anything. But like I said, that's the sides of the coin. People are there for the social, people are there for the toys and social, and then some people are just there for the toys. So it's
like what Raymond said about it. So let's face facts.
Yes.
I've said it many times before. Toys and Ice, it's TFNation event where we could go buy one figure and still go. And it's true, we would still go.
This is also as well the difference between maybe a first timer and somebody that has a veteran. And I'm sure Raymond won't mind us calling him that, but the fact is, a lot of us that have been there for a lot of events, we know that. Look, I mean, okay, one year there was a warehouse find of sealed G1 Sunstreakers. Okay, I grant you that. I grant you that might be the one thing that you could say, yeah, you won't get exactly the same thing happen again at another TFNation. But you know what? Pretty much everything else, it will come around. And there will be a box. I'm sure there was one this year. The fact is that it's not, the desperate rush to grab stuff, especially when you've been a few times, especially when your shelves are creaking under the weight of all the plastic that you bought. And also you realize as well that, look, even though eBay is more expensive and it's a gamble, and Amazon and all the other things, the fact is that it is still there and you can't replicate the social side.
No, you can't.
That's the big thing, especially as the years go on, that social side really starts to kick in. And in fact, you start going, oh crap, I better go to the dealer room. I spent so much time talking to my mates about bullshit that has nothing to do with Transformers that I've forgotten the fact that I'm in a convention and there's a dealer hall down the way.
You see, now the thing with the dealer's room as well is, for me, is I don't do the early bird thing. And a number of reasons. One, I don't feel like I need to spend another 30, 40 quid to get in an hour earlier. Right?
Yeah.
And the reason is, well, this year the queue was literally from the dealer's room right up to the bar. That's how long the queue was for the early bird tickets, right? Just crazy.
It took over an hour for their access when the doors open for early entry, because I remember seeing it myself, and I just saw it, and it took like an hour and a half for them to all actually reach and actually get in there.
I mean, I thought, well, I'll catch a panel or two as well, because you can chill out and stuff like that. Now, I go for the stuff you cannot get at Smith's. So things like a Victrolia or a Star Saber or a Black Zarak and things like that. Things you can't buy at
a pen.
A transforming pen, which I've done a review of it already. I've opened it up and it still works out the packet, which I can't believe. Anyway, so that's the thing. I go there to get things you cannot buy. And something that I want that's I might go, it's there, I've got the money, I'll grab it now. But like I said, your buying experience is your own. And if you want the new stuff, that's fine. That again, so it comes down to, can you wait that couple of hours before you go into the dealer's room when it's nicely chilled out? Because I always think it like this: if it's something G1 and old and things like that, Toy-Fu will have it, Leicester Vintage will have it, and some of the other stalls will have it. If it's something new, Kapow Toys will have it, In Demand will have it, and they'll usually have lots and lots and lots of them.
In Demand have become pretty good source, to be honest. I mean, Kapow are good as well, but to be honest, my first port of call is In Demand. It always has been. Because as you walk through the door, literally there was this year as you walked through the main doors, they were literally on your left hand side, and they were literally just right there, and literally it was swamped. And I'm not surprised, but they were swamped. They had literally 2 cash registers on this time as well to kind of deal with the pressure, and it was like mad. But I always seem to find exactly what I'm looking for from In Demand straight away. It's literally really good.
Let's face it as well, we are sort of blessed with a franchise that has provided roughly about 6,000 different robots. So the fact is, if you don't have your number one choice, there's probably 30 other choices that you would accept, plus the 200 more you didn't know existed, aka pens. In my case, glow in the dark Burger King meal toys.
Yes.
It's like different things for different people. One thing I want to add though here as well, because I think both of you have touched on this. So Stephen and Jermaine in the Facebook group both mentioned the value of taking physical cash as a better way to control their spending. You are physically seeing what you have and what you can spend. John, this is a really important thing for you, isn't it? The whole physical cash.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, when I'm doing something specific, like an event or going on holiday, for instance, I like to have a mixture of cash and cards, so I know where I am. But when it comes to cash, exactly what you were just saying now, the question is, with cash, and what Jermaine and everyone was saying, you know exactly how much you've spent. You can work it out. After each day that you've been there, you can go to your room and just count it out. Oh, that's what I've got left. With a card, yes, you've got the record. You get it pings with online banking. Your banking app, it pings and says you've paid this. But if you're having on the lash, for instance, having a drink, and you get a little bit too tipsy, and that's going a little bit too much on the plastic, you can run much more money going through your card than you thought you did. And then you end up the day going, crap, I've only got 50 quid to my name, I've only got, I'm in overdraft or whatever. So for me, when it comes to something like TFNation or not just TFNation, but on holiday, I like to have cash primarily because I know where I am.
Plus, as well,
and then I've got a card as a backup just in case.
Plus, as well, the dealer's room, it's quicker to pay cash than it is on card. A couple of reasons. One, if the
internet
table is just absolutely rammed, you can give them a tenner, they can give you a five change or whatever, and you're done. That's it. You're away. I bought something at Toy Fu. The internet was playing up. My card didn't work. I had to get cash out anyway, so I should have just got the cash out in the first place. Yeah. So there is that chance of the transaction not going through straight away, and then you're stuck waiting for the internet to catch you up, and then before you can even move on to the next stall, So, like I said, cash, give them £20 note, they'll give you change or whatever, and then you're done. That's it. Transaction complete. Yeah. And like you said, John, once you're done, you can look in your wallet and think, well, I've got such and such left. And then keep your card for your meals out and stuff like that.
Well, also, I will just say very quickly before we move on is that one thing with cash, one upside for spending with cash is same with Toy Fu because they're a charity organisation or charity, So, but paying with cash actually benefits everybody better because they get every single bit of that money. So you pay them £10, they get the full £10. But with Adam will understand this because of working in banking. If you're paying with card and you're paying through chip and pin machine, cash, there's a percentage that they've got to pay. That business has to pay a percentage of each time you pay with a card. They have to pay a percentage, so they're not getting the full amount of the money. So they're not getting the full £10. They may be getting, I don't know, £9.40, I don't know, of that. Because I don't understand banking, I don't understand money, but you know what I mean. That they don't get the full amount going through the cash register with plastic, but with card, it's more beneficial, especially for a charity because they're getting every single penny of that rather than having to pay a percentage.
The challenge, and this was something I think you and I actually had a long talk about. I think, John, and I know it's been Sam and Ray are saying as well in the chat, is the fact is that, a lot of the businesses around the NEC are plastic only. And it's because as well, they're dealing with the corporate crowd. Yeah. This is one of those areas where, unfortunately, TFNation's sort of status as
I've got my American Express platinum.
Yeah, because let's face it, for a lot of these guys, they'll be there because of their company. The company will give them their card. They literally flash the card around because it's all on there. It pays for them to use the card because then they're not using any of their own money. It's really frustrating. Do I think it's fair? Of course not. Do I feel for people? Of course I do.
The option should be there.
The option should be there. In a perfect world, it would be, but it's along the same lines as well of like how many local, and I know this is a real segue, but like how many local branches are closing in the UK, and it's like I'd fight you with it, and all the papers are fighting for it as well. But at the end of the day, the banks will do what they do.
Yeah.
All I would say is, and I do think as well, look, read the comments on the Facebook question that I put up. Also, listen to these guys as well when they do their future shows and they talk about cash. Bring the cash if you can. It does make it so much easier, especially for the likes of Tofu, especially at the beginning of the day. They don't want to fart around with cards. And look, you've always got your card there as a backup, but at the same time, if you're using a card and cash, as John said as well, just be aware that's two ways that you can spend. So don't just go home at night and look at the money in your wallet if you know you spent money on your plastic as well, because that will build up.
Yeah.
We've all had it there.
Yeah.
I wanna jump over quickly because this is a different thing, but I think this is something a little lighter. Okay, and I'm going to ask you as well. Thursday socializing. What a stupid idea. What an absolutely harebrained, stupid idea. I mean, like, you get on a day early before the event has even started. The event isn't even there. The committee aren't even there. Yeah. And you get on a long journey and you get out and you get there, and on a Thursday, why bother? What's the point? Well, convince me, guys. Tell me.
Well, so the convention starts on a Friday. They have panels on, and then
I'm going to switch my camera off. I'm going to give you the whole thing here. Go for
it. So Friday is when it all starts proper. You know, you've got panels on and this, that, and the other, and you've got guest talks and whatever else is on, and the event started. Not the full event like on Saturday, but the event has pretty much started. So you're traveling down, and your bus is late, or your train's late, or your car breaks down, or something like that. You might have to work or something like that. You know, you've things have happened. You got to book into your room, and you're missing things that have started. You go down on a Thursday, and if you can get the time off, that is. But you go down on a Thursday, you can sort your hotel out, dump your stuff in the room, and then you're ready to rock and roll. Plus, there's an extra breakfast, and hotel breakfast is always good. So, you know, you can go to bed early on a Thursday night if you want, chill out, relax. But the Thursday night, again, people there, people you haven't seen all year, you can just have a laugh, and a lot of people, you know, choose that night to socialize and then do the convention, and then that's it, you know. So there's no pressure. You're not missing anything. You don't think, oh shit, there's a panel on in half an hour, I want to go see that. You know, you can do all the socializing. We played a daft game called Muffin Time, which was a hilarious daft game. You know, and it's a lot of fun. It really is a lot of fun. And like I say, all the hassle of traveling is all done and dusted. You booked into your hotel room, and now you can play, essentially.
Okay,
and that's the reason why I go down on Thursday.
Does it also help? And this is because Lena in Facebook as well mentioned that the travel on Friday just absolutely knackered her. Yeah. And I totally get as well. Everyone coming down on a Friday, and the convention is kicking off, and you know everyone around you is buzzing to get going, and yet you're exhausted, and naturally so after traveling. But on Thursday, do you think that the fact that everyone who's gotten there on the Thursday is exhausted, there's nothing to do, so you can just you feel comfortable just going, hey guys, I'm new, I don't know you, I'm just going to sit on the sofa and veg. If you want to talk to me, great. Is that kind of the appeal?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, like I said, you've got all the traveling out the way, and you're knackered and you're tired and this, that, and the other, and you can, like I say, you can come and socialise for a couple of hours and then go to bed early and have a proper sleep it all off. So Friday morning you wake up for your breakfast and you're all ready, convention mode. You know, you're all ready to go. But I think, like I say, because you've got all that stress out of the way the day before it all starts, and like what Lena was saying about being tired and stuff, you can be tired Thursday, you know, because then you can sleep it over, and then next morning wake up. Yes, you have to pay for another night at a hotel. Fine, understand that, but it's not going to cost you any more traveling, you know.
Yep, that's true.
And you know, so you might be able to even if it's just staying in a really cheap B&B nearby, and then book into the Friday at the proper hotel that you're staying in. You know, like I say, all that hassle is all gone. You can check in and all that sort of stuff done. You know, you're ready to go, and people are there having a laugh, and there's plenty of people. Sorry, I get messaged. Sorry, but there's plenty of people there ready to talk Transformers or play Transformers or play daft games and just generally just have a laugh. And that's again every year since 2010. Come Thursday.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. How can I add that? I mean, I've always described Thursdays as the calm before the storm,
Yeah.
which it genuinely is. Because I mean, obviously, I used to back when I first started doing auto assemblies, going back a bit, like 2010, 11. I actually went up the Friday. We actually travelled the
Friday
Friday.
was the Thursday.
It was.
Exactly. So that the Friday originally was the day before the convention because it was only Saturday and Sunday back then,
Yeah.
wasn't it? So now that TF is now a 3 day event, so it just makes sense to me because it's a lengthy travel for me and for
Mm.
Tony and for Sam. It's a lengthy travel. It's like the same duration for it's like a good, like I said, about 4.5 hours on a coach, or about 4 hours on a train. So, or
Mm.
by driving would be quicker, but there's a lot of roadworks and a lot of
Yeah.
issues around our area at the moment.
Yeah,
So
there is.
it will, yeah. But anyway, but yeah, I will just say to anybody that's because I noticed this year there was a lot more people coming for the Thursday for the first time.
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
notice that as well. Yeah.
I was speaking to, what's her name? Um, I've forgotten her name now. I'm better with faces than names. Um, but anyway, so I was speaking to somebody who was actually she actually stayed in a Moxie and a
Mm.
boyfriend and a couple of other people, and I'm basically just talking to them, and they actually went to the Moxie last year, so they've been going since 2024 to the Moxie,
Cool.
but they've always done Friday to Sunday or Friday to Monday. But this was the first time for them to come Thursday. But I generally say if you can afford to work that extra night in a hotel, which it isn't cheap, especially the Hilton, it's a lot cheap. It's a bit expensive. But if you can afford to do the Thursday, it is much more beneficial because if you're somebody like me, if you're somebody who is a bit socially awkward or is brand new, say, it's a good way to ease into the social
Mm.
side because I see it as that standpoint is that even though for a Thursday this year there was still a fair few people, but it wasn't overly too much to deal with.
Mm.
You had the
Yeah.
Transformers the show guys there, and they were there the Thursday, and then you had a couple of other people, and it was a bit more of a it just felt more chilled, more of a chilled out environment, not as full on all systems go kind of thing when it comes to the Friday and the Saturday. The Saturday was yeah, it was. If you have some kind of anxiety issue around crowds, you are going to have a meltdown on that
I mean,
Saturday.
I don't generally, but yeah, Saturday I had to go. Do you know what? I've got to leave the dealer's room now and go grab some lunch because it was just mental.
We'll
really
we'll
was.
we'll absolutely jump into that one.
Yeah.
I assure you guys. The weird thing is I had 4 questions lined up and you've answered all 4 of them whilst you were giving those answers.
Sorry.
What? No. It's really really good. One thing I want to mention here as well is that Thursday attendance was a main goal for many of the people on the Facebook group. We had Arrowfire, Lena, Amber, and Danny. However, Jermaine really summed it up the best. This is the only quote I've taken directly from someone. And because I sit in a pub with Jermaine every month or so in London, I think I can get away with quoting him directly. So he said, the main change I made from the first half of my TFNation career was to come up on the Thursday and do some early socializing. It helps to just be in place ahead of the mania of the convention, but also allows me to get a lot of hellos out of the way before
Yes.
it gets so busy that you lose control over it.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
Exactly.
and Danny also mentioned as well a reality of the convention these days. The fact is, sometimes you don't even see people. You don't even realize people were at the event if they're only there for the Friday, Saturday, Sunday because there's so many people.
Yeah.
I completely agree. To be honest with you, funnily enough, you saying that, I actually saw some people posting like pictures of being at TFNation.
And you didn't know they were there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was Graham the Collector 75 was there.
I managed to run into them.
I totally missed him. There was I've forgotten that anyway, but there was a few people there that were literally only there maybe for like the day. And I was just like, you were there? And I had to literally message and say, I'm so sorry I missed you. Just, well, it is literally. I've always described TFNation as a massive whirlwind. Every year, it's like a whirlwind. It literally comes in, and it just destroys everything in sight in a good way. In a good way.
No, you're
but
right,
you know
John.
what I mean?
It does feel like that sometimes, yeah.
It feels it's like coming in like a wrecking ball with Miley Cyrus on it. You know, it's like you know. Um,
Comes in like a crazy train by Ozzy Osbourne. Come on, let's keep it. Thank you.
We can tell which people are starting to use TikTok, can't we? Trying to get the little buzzwords in there.
Oh, I don't use TikTok. Sorry.
It's called branching out.
I don't have time. But anyway, go on, John. Yeah, you're saying, yeah.
But no, anyway, just like I say, I mean, just to put my side of the questions to bed. I mean, I've always said if Thursdays are just the calm before the storm. It's just much more of a chilled out environment. As people have already said, like Jermaine and Danny and everyone saying, like you can get your hellos, you can actually talk to the people you want to talk to that are there much more easier because it's much more manageable. You can actually you can just walk around people and get involved. I actually had an actual conversation with Transformers the Show for the first time this year. The guys there with Paul and everyone.
They're really lovely people, aren't they?
Yeah, they're really nice guys. I mean, in the past, it's literally just been a fleeting while I'm just in the queue to get a drink, but this time I actually had a proper conversation with them, and it's just I feel really guilty because it's something that is out of your control when it comes to when the event really kicks off, and you want to talk to everybody that you recognise, anybody that knows you that you've never met before. You want to have those interactions, but it's just so difficult to keep track of everything, and it really is, like I say, it's a whirlwind. But
it does get you ready, like you said earlier, calm before the storm. It gets you in the mood. It gets you in right. I'm ready. Let's do this. I'm ready now. I'm here, and like I said, all your travel woes are out the way. It's done. You're there, and now you can relax and done. Let's get on.
Okay, so here's a bit of an uncomfortable question then, because of the popularity and the good buzz that has been generated by Thursday. If you were to rock up next year on the Thursday and there's suddenly 200-300 more people in that bar area, all seeking that same thing, do you think that's still manageable? Because you don't have the event in the background still. Everyone is there knowing that there's nothing else going on, so they're just there to be social. Do you think that would actually be still quite manageable?
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, because if you do it right,
it's not as much of a distraction like there is for the rest of the weekend.
Because you're not rushing off panel and deals room and this, that, and the other. So I think there is. But that's the whole thing. That's part of the fun. It's part of I mean, I'm used to it because I go out to a nightclub every weekend. I'm going tomorrow, so I will walk a few yards, get stopped by somebody, and we chat for an hour, and then walk somewhere else, get stopped by somebody, chat for an hour. That's how it works, and so I'm kind of used to how that process goes. So I won't mind being stopped by everybody under the sun, 200 people, chatting and stuff like that, and because like I say, you can get all that out of the way. And then again, more the merrier is is basically what I'm saying. The more the merrier. Come and find me. We'll have a chat. Great.
Ladies and gentlemen, BS Prime is in the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, a person that was called up on stage at TFNation. Yes, BS Prime, I know exactly who you are, sir. BS Prime is one of the guys that works at the Battersea store.
Ah, sweet.
Very, very talented animator, thoroughly nice guy, and also spends his day surrounded by more blockies than you can shake a stick at.
Oh, I don't know. I've got a fair few myself.
Oh, no. Go down to the Battersea store. Oh, my God, they have a lot.
Speaking of the Battersea store.
When you open in a Hull store, please. Thank you. So get a job. Thank you. Be nice.
Get the Humber Bridge logo. Get the Humber Bridge logo.
Before we jump on, jumping back a bit here, and something that you've mentioned as well in regards to all this socializing is the important act of taking breaks. Are you finding that especially with Saturdays being so busy, do you feel there's more importance now needs to be taken on taking time out, taking those walks outside, getting fresh air,
Yeah.
taking time to go back to the room. In fact, is it sort of vital now for attendees to really do that to enjoy
Yes.
the TFN experience?
100%, yeah, 100%. Like I said earlier in the dealer's room, it was so busy, and this was 2 hours after it had opened. It was still busy.
Yeah.
Bought a few things from Toy Fair. I went, right, I'm going to stick them up in the room. I'm going to go for some lunch. This was getting about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock time. And it is just nice to go outside, see the sunshine, bit of fresh air, have a nice bit of a walk, get the blood pumping round proper. Because, I mean, stood in the dealer's room, and I'm going to get onto backpacks in a moment, but anyway. But you know what I mean? And you kind of like this because you're trying to dodge and weave, and then you can just kind of go, right, go for some lunch, chill out. That's why I ran into you and Sam and Lawrence, didn't we? I ran into a Subway.
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah, grab some lunch. And then when I came back, it died down. It was nicely chilled, and you know, and well,
Smizno, I think convention bleach might also be an option, but we'll talk about that later as well.
Yeah. But yeah,
but
so
no, it is that those breaks, those
yeah.
taking that time out. I think it's needed now because there's so many people in there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and like I said, when you've bought some stuff, go up to the room. You know, you can have a play, chill out. You know, stick telly on for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, just something in the background, and you know, and then as daft as it sounds, take your shoes and socks off.
Well,
daft as that sounds, it does work. Because I mean,
just to mention something, because obviously I know Adam, you wasn't there, of course, but they did have something that I think was the first time they've done it, which I actually, when I read it, it was in the schedule, and I read it and I went, oh, interesting, and they actually had a chill out room.
Yes,
I did not know that until after the event.
Yeah, they had a chill out room, which was where the pre-registration was. So basically, when you go and pick up your wristbands and everything else, that's that room where you were queuing. And they actually reconfigured it after everyone had got the registration tickets. They reconfigured it, and they put tables in there, and they had like a display with some brand new figures, and you could actually have a hands-on demonstration and have a play with them.
Yeah, it was
and
where
you could literally just sit there and chill out in this very quiet space, which I will say, I mean, you know, I will say that was a fantastic idea for somebody that is maybe a bit too, you know, because the dealer room on the Saturday was insanely busy.
It's too much. So,
it was like to the point where if you put a foot wrong, if you fell over, people are going to topple on top of you. It was very, very close to that, you know. And maybe some tempers, maybe, you know. But, you know, I mean, I thought that was a very good idea by the TFNation folks, because having a chill out room, a totally different space, it was bloody quiet and peaceful in there. I went in there a couple times just to have a look at the display, and it was just like madness, calm. It was just so weird, but it was so.
I didn't know that.
Anybody that is like, say, on the spectrum that has, with that get, you know, where it's like it's a bit too much for them, that is a great thing to just like take them out of the equation, and they can sit down at a table, they can play with the pickups. Perfect. They're in their own little world, and they can just get back and calm down.
See, about the people on the spectrum, it just came to me because when I used to work at Entertainer, we used to have quiet hours in the morning for you know, that sort of thing. I was just thinking, maybe if TFNation are watching, maybe it might be a good idea to have that instead of like an early access, is to have the quiet hour for those that get a bit overwhelmed and stuff like that. I mean, it might be
just think now. Look, I don't have any involvement in organization for TFN, so but just think about the logistics of trying to do that.
There is that,
and imagine how a large group of people who desperately want to go in that room will twist it and turn it. And that's not saying that everyone there is, we're just going to try and tweak. You know, they're not trying to be devious here. But the fact is that unless I think the biggest thing they tried in the past was maybe from, I think it was 2 till 3, that they stopped people from going in the room. I think it was at one event. They tried to sort of calm the flow for a couple of hours whilst I think they had lunch as well. That was it. Lunch. They had a lunch break one year for the traders, and people were kicking off because they were being moved away and they weren't buying anything. They were just looking.
Yeah.
I think it's a real challenge. I think, with the added pressure, with the added people wanting to see stuff, and also this constant thing of, if I don't go in and run around again, I won't find that holy grail that's clearly just out of the corner for me. It's a challenge. I'd be interested to see what they do next year. And of course, if the event gets any bigger, then do they split halls? That's been done, by the way. That's been tried out and it worked really well. But that was a mini con, not a big TFN event. So
they need to. I think personally, they might need to see about maybe commandeering another room, bought one of the big rooms, because it's I mean, like I said, I know Sam mentioned going back a bit now, and sorry, I'm going back on things, but he mentioned about, like, would they ever consider moving into the NEC? And the problem is that is where they are at this moment. They're at a crossroads of, they only have a couple of options really for the size of the event. If they wanted to keep it as something as we love it as, which is in a very social environment, and it's everyone's in the same spot, in the same place. The guests are there and everything. If you wanted to keep it like that, keep its true identity, what makes TFNation so special for a lot of people, then it has to stay at a hotel. It has to stay like it is, because otherwise, you move into the NEC, you lose all of that.
Yeah, then it'll become like an MCM event. It'll become an MCM event. People will go, they'll buy the stuff, get their autographs, go on.
Yeah, it'll be 9 till 6.
Yeah, 9 till 6 on Saturday, and that's it. That'll be it. There'll be no club con. There'll be nothing after that, because, like I said, everybody will be gone home by then. So
yeah, I mean, the only other option
about it on the Sunday night, and he said about they're gonna look into it, but I think what they're gonna do is they're gonna have to cap it about where it is now.
Yep.
Because
I remember that. Yeah,
like 1,200 people over the weekend, 1,201 or something, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and
it was literally one person made it over.
Yeah, because Billy said, "Oh, that one person just
got through.
Number, just took it over." But no, I think what they're going to have to do is, if it sells out, tough. They are sorry, but that's why the mini cons are there. If you can't make the big one, go to the mini one.
Exactly.
So I think that's the way going forward. I think it is. I think we'll probably get a few more 100 people before they have to cap it. But like I said, Saturday sold out this year.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, I think all I can say is, I mean, I don't understand how it all works, and obviously I'm not affiliated with TFNation either. So, I don't know how.
I can tell you how it works if you want.
Okay, well, I'm just saying from my standpoint, I don't know how much more of the hotel they could occupy.
I kind of do want to know, but I'm also kind of like, I also don't want to know. It's kind of
no. It's really simple, really simple.
Go on then.
So, and a good example of this, I'm actually going to use a different type of convention. I'm going to use the Warframe convention, which I know most people now watching the stream are like, "What the hell is Warframe?" Warframe is just like a little game that I played for about 7 years now. It's like been running for 13, has a global audience. It's very, very cool. We love it. It's very nerdy. Anyway, right audience to talk about that. But they have an event each year, and it's gone from being a niche event to selling out the venue, to selling out the venue in an hour, to selling out the venue in 5 seconds. Wow. And the reason being is because the highlight of their convention weekend, which is a very different format to Transformers, but it is a live stream. It's a dev stream. It's like something you'd normally see on YouTube, and it's in front of a live audience, and it's in the biggest room in this convention center, and that holds, I don't know, 1,000 people. Now, anything else, it doesn't matter what they do, autographs, signings, graphics, prototypes, designs, mock-ups, sets, whatever, hundreds of different variants, as many variants of that as you would get variants of Transformers stuff. Yeah. It doesn't matter about that other stuff, because the most important thing is always going to be that live event, and there are only 1,000 seats they can fit physically inside that room. So 1,000 is the cap. Doesn't matter what else there is. Doesn't matter if they spread over 20 other rooms. It's 1,000. For TFNation, it's normally going to be that dealer room. It's going to be the dealer room, and it's going to be the main hall for the opening and closing events. And if you think about it, they are the 3 times the toy food table in the dealer room. And the opening event is going to be where you're going to have the largest concentration. So everything is kind of going to be based on those moments. So yes, they could spread out to another hall and another this and another that. But if all those extra people are still going to ignore those halls and make a beeline for Toy Fu on the Saturday morning, then they're screwed. And the Hilton can only fit so much. And it's not a case of squeezing them in. It's the case of doing it safely for fire procedures. It's like a really big deal for them. So that's their challenge, is that if they did, like, I know at the Minicon, what they did is that imagine the top 5 things that you want to see. So for instance, we talk about Toy Fu. Tony, you mentioned as well Kapow, because you normally seek them out. John, you normally said about In Demand. Great. And then there's obviously going to be a couple of others on your list. Imagine you take numbers 2 to 4 and you put them in a different room, and you just put Toy Fu in one room. There is a chance that people will split off at the beginning of the day. They will go for especially if they're fans of new stuff. That might be a way that you can ease pressure. But at the end of the day, they still got that maximum amount of people that might still want to squeeze into the opening ceremony, and that's going to cap the numbers. So it's a very difficult position for Billy and the guys. And also as well, people think, the hall layout. They obviously get the guys there, they set them up. I mean, it must be just like wherever the tables are, they do it. These things are mapped out to the centimeter. There are detailed plans. They get the measurements of each table that they order in. They know the width. If the width is different, that changes the plans. They then have to run back, and there will be just big discussions on, should we move this entire length of tables 2 foot that way, because it allows people to choose this if they're walking this direction and doing this. It's insane how much work they put into it. So it is difficult, but they work at it as hard as they can.
It's crowd management. It's just like, it's no different to how like a stadium, a sports stadium deals with crowds. You've got, when it gets too much, you've got like these gates you can open and people can get out, so it stops any threat of people being crushed. I mean, I used to be a steward at KC, and it was,
Well, the like what Adam was saying about they plan it down to the letter. They'll probably plan so many people in. I mean, they get to a point where there's too many people in. It's one in, one out, and the queue will form again. And it's finding that balance. Now, if I see that and I think, well, it's one in, one out, I'm not waiting in the queue. I'll go catch a panel, I'll go grab some lunch. I can go and socialise for a bit. So there are other options. You don't have to rush in where Angel's for you to tread. You can just go, do you know what? I'm going to just back off slightly. The things I want. And plus, as well, is knowing some of the dealers and message them saying, would you mind saving this for me? And so you can do it. There are other ways,
Yeah.
So if you want that thing, you desperately want that thing, and you think, well, I don't want to wait in the queue, would you mind messaging on Facebook? Would you mind saving it for me? 9 times out of 10, if you're not taking the piss, they'll probably go, yeah, no problem. If you give them a list that's a light year wide, they're not going to do it. If you could say, can you save me Missing Link Sunstreaker, for example, they're like, yeah, we'll put one aside for you. No problem.
Would you, this is an idea, and I was thinking about maybe not pitching it, but suggesting it to one of the guys at TFN when I next see them, because going back to the chat as well and the Facebook, we had Lena, John, and Danny talked about taking more time out at the event and how important it was. John's talk about taking breaks during the day. Funny enough, he mentioned as well something very similar to you, Tony, and the idea of just getting some fresh air. But Jermaine, it's funny because Jermaine joined the chat 30 seconds after I literally read out something that he'd written on Facebook. And I stated at the time, it was the only time I was going to quote someone directly, and he completely missed his crowning moment. But Jermaine puts panel details into his phone. He's one of those very organized people that actually plans out the weekend. But reading that, I thought about it, and I thought maybe it's time as well that TFN remind people, because people always forget the panels. They do because of the buzz of the event. But the panels are also, as well, not only are they informative, but they are incredibly relaxing.
Yeah,
You
they
go
are.
in there and you focus and you chill out, and it's like they should, not they should. Who am I to tell them what to do? But if people were to get it into their heads and it be promoted, look, you're not just seeing a panel that's really interesting and really fantastic, but you're taking a natural, organic break from the crush in the toy hall,
Plus,
and
the air
you're
conditioning in the room's
you're,
really
you're
good as
yeah,
well.
you're recharging your batteries. You're learning more stuff for those people as well, and we'll get onto more other social things later. But if you're worried about going up to James Roberts, how about you get to James Roberts' panel, listen to what he says, and then you'll have something to talk to him about, because you can go, hey, I really like the way you talked about this character. There's all these sorts of benefits. Panels are almost the kind of, they're not, I don't know if they're utilized as much as other things in the way that they can draw people away from the crush. And I think it'd be really useful for people to take advantage of that a bit more. I love the idea of the chill out room, though. I think they should definitely do more than that. But
I generally think that needs to come back every year, because I mean, obviously that was the first time I'd noticed it, and I was looking through the brochure, the schedule thing, and it said that there's like a slight break with the pre-registration hall, and they reconfigured it all, put tables in there, and it was, you could definitely tell there was a different vibe in there, because you walk out the madness, go walk into there, and it's like heaven and hell. It's kind of like you walk through the flames, and it's just madness, and then it's just peace and tranquility. It's just yeah. I mean, that is a great thing. I'm a lot better at handling my social anxiety now than I was when I was younger. But if I was a first time attendee and I've never been to TFNation before, never been to a convention before, I would be really freaking out in that hall, because I've always been very spatially aware of my surroundings. I'm always looking around. I'm always looking at people. I'm always, not in a bad way or anything like that. That's just how I
aware
know.
of your personal space.
That's it. I just navigate around me. I'm always making sure I'm not getting
Which comes
pickpocketed
to my
and
next
things
thing,
like
Bob.
that. Yeah,
Which comes to my next thing about that. Yeah.
yeah,
I will do this. I will expand on this when I do when I do my health and safety video next year.
Okay.
Backpacks in the dealer's room. Now, I wouldn't normally say this until thinking, but there was several people in there that were wearing huge backpacks, and I got hit in the face because when you're looking forward, what's behind you, you don't know it's there. And I'm trying to look at some toys, and I get this fucking huge backpack in the face. What the fuck, right? Now, okay, I don't know that person's story, but surely you don't need that kind of a backpack. And this thing was huge. It was like a camping backpack, massive. So if you stay in a hotel, leave it in the hotel room. I mean, all right, if you want to put your bots in there, fine, but there's no need to have a huge backpack with you. You can ask the hotel to look after it. They do have areas that you can go put it aside, can't you? It just seems like, especially when it's busy and you're trying to get round and trying to look at the table, next thing you know, you've got a huge, great backpack.
The sad thing is, and I think this tied into something that Ray was talking about, because a lot of the time, look, the hotel pass for checking in is unfortunately, it's not unique. I had it at Manchester. It was an absolute nightmare in Manchester. I'm not kidding. It was 4:00 in the afternoon before I got checked in. 4:00. And I was offered far more money than the Hilton was charging to check in early. But even though at one point I sort of gave in and said, well, is there anything available? They went, actually, don't bother, because there's nothing available anyway.
Yeah.
The fact is, I think what was happening there was that the hotel often doesn't have space to put, especially if there's a lot of other people there. And that can be thousands going, they won't have space to put stuff. And if these people haven't taken conventional luggage, but big backpacks, then that's a challenge. I think then you're faced with the situation of, do you stop people from taking in luggage of any sort into the rooms? And do you then, because of course that will benefit people, especially yourself, but it will then penalize them, especially if it's something that the Hilton has done, incorrectly and not processed them in time.
Well, it just felt like it was an unnecessary size for the amount of people that were in that room. Surely a little forethought before you go in. Maybe if you carried it in your hand, with the strap, fine. If you need it with you, fine. But it was just like, lack of self-awareness is what I'm really trying to get at.
That's the sort of thing to really give feedback as well to
Yeah.
TFNation, let them know, because that's relatively as well a new problem stemming from the fact there are so many people going this year.
I think, like I say, I think it's just a bit more of a self-aware issue rather than the backpack itself as an obstacle. It was just kind of, if it had been me, I'd have probably gone, hang on, it's a bit busy for this. I'll carry it, in my hand. I'll use the strap, because, I mean, there could be medication in there. It could have,
Oxygen tank.
Oxygen tank, that's the word.
I tell you what, they could, honestly, with the heat, they must have been absolutely drenched carrying that. I'm amazed.
Exactly. Yeah, I was drenched, and I only had a carry bag in my hand. You know what I mean? It was,
okay. Let's jump over to something completely different, and this is going to be an odd little twist as well. Now, again, I initially wrote 1.4 to 1.5k attendees. I don't know. It might be 1.2. I mean, it might be 1.2 attendees, and then all the other people involved with the event. Anyway. Out of all the people that go, I believe there are probably only 2 or 3 dozen folk who upload footage online. And I'm talking about footage, it's stills, stuff like that. Ray in the chat is probably going berserk at this point because I've started talking about people that shoot video. But anyway, the fact is, though, a lot of people, in fact, Ray is a good example of this. A lot of people don't know who Ray is, or they might have seen him. But he's not online in the sense that his face is in front of the camera. That's his whole thing. And in fact, out of all the attendees, only a small fraction upload footage, including themselves, so their face becomes known.
Yes.
You guys are a good example of that. Now, it's not something, again, neither of you have ever said, I want my face to be shown across the board. I just want to be famous. You don't do that. It's just you like to express views, opinions, you like to help people out, and through that your face gets known to others. Other people do YouTubes and blogs, etc. Now, we always talk about using social media to break the ice. And one thing that's sort of come up, and I've realized this, is we always say, hey, get a video out there, say your hopes and fears, maybe post on Facebook, make some friends. But the problem is a lot of people just don't want to do that, or they want to keep their privacy. So thinking about it, imagining a person that doesn't get in front of a camera, that maybe they take a picture of the odd toy, but they don't even like to photograph much. They're just one of the large amount of people that view social media, and they might add the odd like or comment, but they're not going to be well known. How would they use social media to try and break the ice and build a few friendships and connections before the next event? What would they do in the next year?
Well, I think doing what you said is like adding the occasional comment, especially going on the Facebook group. I know we keep going on about it, but people going to TFNation Facebook group, you don't have to put your face on there. You can use, set your avatar up, or you can even post anonymously if you like. But just, talk to people and just say, I'm thinking of coming next year, would you come and say hey? And then usually you start building up a rapport, and then when you actually meet that person, it's like yes, the first time you've met them, but you know them already, So I think it's just weird. Like I say, keep doing what you're doing. If you, like I say, if you're not a big post or anything like that, but just say I'm thinking of coming. Will anybody come and say hi? I mean, or even if because I always say, oh, if you see me around, come and say hey. If they just did that, even better.
Now, did that happen? Did you have people come up to you who you have no idea who the hell they are? You've never heard of them before, but they came up and said hi. And were you totally chill? Because I'd imagine they came up respectfully. They didn't suddenly grab you into a bear hug. They were just like, hi.
Well, that too, but but no, honestly, I saw your videos, and I didn't know about TFNation before, and can we have a conversation? Sure, let's find a table and sit down. And I got that loads of times, and it was kind of humbling as well, because I'm like, people are actually watching my videos, people are actually taking in what I've been saying.
I mean, I will just piggyback on what Tony said. I mean, this year I did have a couple of instances where even though there'd been a couple times in the past to TFNation, they weren't technically like first timers, but it was the first time we'd actually had some kind of communication between ourselves. I think I was with Mark, Jermaine, Sammy, I think was there, and was in one of the was in the panel room. I can't remember what panel it was now. Anyway, but I was in the panel room. Oh no, it was opening ceremony. That was it. It was at the opening ceremony or it was ClubCon, one of the two. No, it was opening ceremony, I just remembered. So I was in opening ceremony and I was sat with Mark Pierce, and I was Jermaine and all that kind of thing. And there was
the retrobates, yeah.
Yes.
Sorry,
It's not Jermaine, he gets everywhere, you know.
He's a goddamn star, that man.
But yeah, as well.
But yeah, I just remember sitting down and I was just minding my own business and I was just getting ready for the opening ceremony and everything. And then this guy like looks around, this kid that wearing glasses. I completely can't remember his name though. But he was looking around and he saw me and said, "Oh, you're Knowlsy, aren't you?" And I went, "Yeah, I am. How you doing?" And he went, I've been watching your streams and stuff." And I was like, "Oh, fantastic!" And he says, "Yeah, I really enjoyed your streams. I really like all your videos and stuff." And they said there was a couple of other people, so they've probably seen Tony's as well. And I was like, "Oh, I'm just glad you got a thing out of them. You know that it actually helped you because they actually said they did help him. You know, getting an idea, and stuff." So I thought that was really kind of nice to hear from my standpoint. And it wasn't just him, but there was a couple of other people. There was another kid that was, ironically, I was in the queue at the bar, and this kid just came up to me. I think his name was maybe Tom. I can't remember now, but there was this kid who came up to me, and he was actually off of TikTok, and this is the first time I've had an altercation meeting somebody through TikTok. And this kid came up to me and he says, "Oh, I've messaged you on TikTok, and I want just to say I wanted to meet you if you were going to TFNation, and this that, and the other." And as I said, "Oh, fantastic!" And I didn't notice he'd messaged me till later on when I checked my TikTok, and he'd sent me a private message. So it's kind of things like that, like private messages. Not be too in thing, because I know private messages can be a bit of a thing, like it can get a bit too much. But I would say any sort of social space, like Facebook, like people going to TFNation group, for instance, is a perfect way to meet new people. I mean, there's a lot of people are on that that were first timers going this year. It's just a great way to kind of like, hello, it's me, am I the one you're looking for? Not trying to do the lyrics of that song, but there we go. But yeah, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like
TikToking.
You what?
Stop trying to TikTok.
But anyway, so yeah, it's just I would say any sort of Facebook group, like people go to TFNation group is a perfect group because it's a great way to just kind of like introduce yourself in a way, so you at least have that gateway in if it's like your first time going, for instance. But it's really kind of cool that through those interactions I had this weekend, and not just this weekend, but a few interactions I've had. It's cool. It is really cool. It's nice to see.
Sorry, I'm just keeping an eye on a certain person who's joined the chat.
Oh,
don't want there to be any trouble.
The troublemaker.
Yeah. Actually, there's a couple of things here. I can't believe True Phantasm has just turned up in the chat because I actually have a story about this. First, I do need to ask you guys a question though, and this is again, it's kind of just to reset for everyone here, especially newcomers who are watching this or may watch this down the line. Just be honest. How confident were you at your first Transformer conventions, or were you absolutely as nervous and apprehensive as any other first timer?
Well, back in 2009, social media wasn't really a thing yet. I mean, there was Facebook, but there was no Twitter. There was
MySpace.
Yeah, MySpace is still a thing apparently. But yeah, so again, I did this. I did exactly what people are doing now on the old Moonbase 2 forums. You remember those?
Yes,
Oh,
I remember.
because I watched the reason I got into this going back in the day was listening to Dave Wallace and Andy Millman's podcast Moonbase 2, and they were going on about then Auto Assembly, about they just announced Greg Berger at that particular time, and I'm like, oh, I've got to go to this. How often am I going to meet a G1 voice actor?
Yeah,
was the impetus for me to go. And then again, I'm like on the forums, I'm going to this thing. Anybody else going? Do you want to hang out and all that kind of stuff? And then I was more apprehensive, yes, but more excited. So the excited part sort of tame the apprehension a bit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, and it was kind of because my immediate thought is, don't know anyone, don't know Birmingham. I'm gonna go watch a panel or two, buy some toys, and sit in the bar on my own. And that's what I immediately thought was going to happen. Right?
Temper your expectations.
Yeah.
Just go for what you know is going to be there, and don't worry so much about the social side.
That's it. And I just thought, if I talk to somebody, great. If I don't, great too. But I'm the kind of person that I can strike a conversation up with anyone, because I do that when I was at work. That's what I used to do. It's morning, how's it going? Blah, 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 that sort of thing. So I can talk to anyone. So that sort of side wasn't a thing. But when I got there, the first person I ran into, like I said, was Nick True Phantasm.
Yep.
Because we've been sort of talking on Facebook and stuff like that. And he was the very first person I saw there. And I sorted my room out, went up, and this was a Friday, by the way, not a Thursday. So I sorted my room out, went up to the balcony at the old hotel at the Holiday Inn, and it was like looking at my YouTube channel list outside. Everybody I watched on YouTube were outside. And it was such a surreal moment, but we all just like instant friends. It was just like the most surrealist of moments. And then that's when Greg Berger appeared and went round and talked to every single person in the bar. Not just like hey, how's it going? I'm Greg, I'll see you later. Blah, blah, but genuinely interested in you as a person, talking, not just like, saying the same thing to everybody, genuinely asking you questions and stuff like that. And it kind of, it's like lightning in a bottle. It's really hard to explain if you weren't there. But
it's really hard as well for somebody who's going to say go to next year's event, because obviously there's so many more people and there's so many more groups that they won't know, and there's less YouTubers per attendee, so to speak. There's less visible people. But yeah, I see what you mean though. It was very unique at that time.
It was, yeah. And because, like I said, there was so many different factors. Again, social media wasn't really a thing yet, and YouTube wasn't really a thing yet, and it was kind of all new. It was all just falling into place. And then here I am 16 years later, and I still go, So there's obviously it hit something in my brain when this is the best thing that's happened to me in a long time. I'm going to go next year, and then next year, and next year, and next year. And it was never because, like I said earlier, it was just basically, I'll go along, buy some toys, have a drink in the bar. If I speak to somebody, great. If not, then no harm, no foul. And if I don't like it, well, again, simple as. But
that's interesting, because Knowlsy, you and I both went for the first time in 2010.
Yep.
I've got a picture of you, which is it's not famous picture, but because the photos from that time, the photos that I got from 2010 still had that air. You had Matt Clark, you had Simon Skay, you had the Moonbase 2 guys, you had Von Rojas, you had McFeely, you had the YouTube line. So imagine the YouTube lineup at the moment, all the big channels that you watch. Well, back then, a huge chunk of them were UK or Ireland, and they were all sharing tables and chatting away. I mean, you had Adam Nicol, you had Andy, and you had George, who now fronts up, the Fluff and Hammer. You've got all these people together. But I always remember in one of the photos, I've got you, John, off to one side, stood there, just watching it.
Yeah.
You're not,
and it's Sam sort of stood in the periphery.
it's that first time when you're unsure, and back then, because the areas were so small, it was easy. You could just sit or stand and be an onlooker. And for people who, struggle with the instant, like they don't want to be social, but they want to be there. For a lot of people, sometimes just being able to sit or stand and just view everything is what they want in terms of that first social interaction.
Yeah.
And I think it's a big thing because all these people talk about, I'll break the ice, chat to everyone. It doesn't always happen. And in fact, it might not even be what you want. You might just want to be able to sit there and have it all go on around you and just feel comfortable. And I thought I would add two things in here because this is really important. The first thing is, whenever we talk, and we're always doing this, all of us are guilty. We think of a first timer. We think of a first timer typically as a young fan. Well, I can assure you that if you're a first timer and you're an older fan, someone who's in their 40s or 50s, you might be, and this is the only time I'll use any harsh language here, you might be utterly fucking terrified of going to a convention because you think it's a bunch of young kids and then you feel obviously very awkward, or you think it's just a bunch of 20 and 30-year-olds and you don't know how to relate. That it can be a real challenge. And some of the feedback, like for instance, Holly and Kev talked about, they hope to chat to more people. They hope to get involved. Kev, I actually know through Traveling Man, the comic shop in Manchester. Oh, yeah. And so to hear him talk about mention the struggles to go in the bar and chat to people. And of course he knows you two. Of course he does. And it's like, and I was kind of like, oh, wow. So you know those guys? Yeah, I watch all their videos. I was like, go up and chat to them. But it's you assume as well, when you've done a couple of events and you've done a couple of years and you get it under your belt, you gain that confidence to do everything. But this is what I wanted to say. This is my true phantasm story. Because I think it was 2023 when I went back after a couple of years. I think it was a Friday or maybe a Saturday night. And I just happened to hit a really odd time because when I walked out into the bar to go and chill out finally, there was literally just 5 or 6 tables with people on. And I realized to my horror as I walked around in my TFNation t-shirt, in the bar where I should feel completely at home, I realized I didn't know anyone. I realized I couldn't recognize anyone. And just like that, all of my confidence vanished. And I became a scared first timer. And then I saw Nick on the table with I think maybe one other person I knew, and then a bunch of people I didn't. And you know what? I thought, sod it. I'm gonna practice what I preach. I've always said to people, just go up to people and ask if you can sit with them. Just go up and say hi. But it is sodding difficult. It is. And so I went, and even though I knew Nick, I've known Nick for donkey's years, but I went up to him and went, hi, Nick, can I sit at your table? And it was the weirdest thing because, of course, he was like, yeah, pull up a seat. What are you talking about? Don't be so silly. But it was the realization that, we have to realize that for some people, just walking into the bar is a challenge. Just, so when it comes to the Reading event, I still don't know if I'm on for the Reading event. Obviously, there's a lot of volunteers at TFNation now. But if I'm doing the Reading event, I normally stand by the door. People go in. Reading is really, really nice because you get people and you get a good trickle of people coming in, but it's not rammed busy. So I'm normally stood by the door doing, just chatting to people, So I'm going to put a post up before the Reading event and I'm going to say, every single person who's going for the first time, who doesn't know anyone else, I'm literally stuck by a door. Come up. I'm a captive. Come up and say hi. Make your first friend at TFNation. And then after that, the rest will be easy.
That's it,
yeah. I mean, I will just add on what you just said there. It's just like with you saying about that picture of me back in 2010, and it's just me and Sam just kind of in the zone or in the area, but completely kind of outside looking in sort of mentality. I mean, for me personally, back in 2010, obviously was my first one.
Raymond.
Really?
Oh.
Really?
I wonder who that guy was with the black Zarek. I wonder who.
But yeah, just back in 2010, obviously, with you saying, Adam, about that picture of me and Sam, and just kind of obviously I've spoken a little bit about my first my first, no, my first like convention, which was obviously 2010, and it was just like I recognised everybody that was in the bar because obviously I used to watch all of those people on YouTube, of course. But
Hey, if I get royalties, I don't care.
but no, it's just it's just. I mean, back in 2010 when it was my first time, obviously I was a lot different than I am now, and I was a lot more socially awkward and a lot more to myself. I was very much kind of like, I wasn't. I'd never really ventured outside of Hull before, for anything. I was never really good in social circles or out. So going to Auto Assembly 2010 was kind of like a big leap for me. And I remember I've said this before when we've spoken, but I back with that first walk into the bar area where the balcony was and everything at the Holiday Inn, and I remember just kind of like it felt like being hit by a complete brick wall. It was invisible brick wall. I could not move. I was frozen, so I was having like a panic attack in a way. And kind of like I remember that feeling so vividly, even though it was quite a long time ago. And it was just like I'd never seen so many people that I recognised off of YouTube, and these were relatively quite well-known people within YouTube.
They were massive at the time.
Yeah,
I mean, small group.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it was much more. It was like compared to today's standard, like TFN now. It was a much smaller crowd of people. It was much more manageable to get around everyone. But when it was my first time, it was the first time ever doing anything quite like that in a social way. It was a lot to take in, and which is why I've taken the approach is I can kind of understand where a lot of people coming for the first time feel. When you get that very anxious comment on people going to TFNation group, for instance, you get a lot of people that are very anxious, and I don't blame them because I've been in that situation myself, and so has Tony and you, Adam, with what you just spoke about there. Everybody's had that very, can we say, vulnerable feeling? A very vulnerable feeling. It's kind of like, I know exactly how it feels, but as you said as well, Adam, that with going to these things, like I said, I've been going since 2010, and now I've been going every single year except for those 2 years where it was COVID. But I've been going every single year, and it was just basically through going to these, it has helped me become the person I am now, and kind of like waving the flag for TFNation now, kind of thing.
That's a very common story as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard a lot of people say the same thing, saying that they've gone for the first time, didn't know anybody. Now they can't imagine a year without it. But that's not to take anything away from you, John. It's just that is a very common story that I've heard.
It is. Yeah.
No. Yeah, I mean, I've heard it said to me a few times as well. So
yeah, I mean, but it's kind of a gratifying thing because I've heard a lot of people say that it took them 3, 4, 5 years to build up the courage to come to one of these things.
Yep.
And then when they've got there, it's like, this is the best thing ever. Why did I wait so long as well? I've had, the other end of the story as well. And, I mean, it is difficult, especially when you don't know anyone, especially when, it's getting bigger and bigger and you walk in. Like I say, when I did 2009, I think there was maybe 400 people there the whole weekend.
Yep.
Now it's, 1,500 plus now. So I get that there's so many people there. But saying that, it's nice to see it grow. But the other side of coin though is, I think some of the newbies that come over the recent years aren't going to get that first one that we had. If that makes sense.
No, they're going to get a different experience.
Exactly.
But and this is really important as well. I think it's important that, I mean, sort of, I'm nothing in this equation now because I help out at small events, and well, that's fine. I think we took him out for good. I think that was it. It just got too much.
It's all right.
But the it's helping those people to understand that for a start, we've all been in the same boat, all of us. Also, the very YouTubers and people that project the most confidence are often the people that when you meet them in real life, they are just as fragile as the rest of us. You know, Thu is a good example of someone who just likes a lot of space. And he's always said, look, the energy is on his videos and in the edit. It's not him as a real person. He's just a normal person. And that's the cool thing, because when you get to know these people, they are just normal people.
Well, he did say in previous years that because obviously he didn't come last year because he was at Bloodstock with his band.
Yeah.
Kicking ass, apparently.
Doing well.
Doing real well, yeah. So he's got that. He's just recently got married as well, and just recently had a child. So he's had a lot of stuff going on in his. And then I think the previous TFN he was at before this year, he was under pressure because he was moving house and he changed jobs. So there was a lot of things going on at home that he didn't, not that I'm, going into his personal details or anything, but he did say that he had a lot of things going on and he just wasn't there. Yeah. He might have been there in person, but he just was not. His mind was not there. And yeah, it happens to us all. This year, he made sure that he was, and he said on his videos that he had the best time ever. And he was there talking to people. I mean, I think I saw him twice the whole weekend to speak to him, but nature of the beast, isn't it? He was surrounded by people, and I thought he's busy. I won't go bother him,
But then as well, so, and this is, again, I know it's funny when we talk about this stuff because this is not meant as bragging. In fact, I can point to most of the people in the chat who have the same experience, because all of you guys in chat, you've been to enough events. So for instance, the likes of Sue and other people, they know you. And it's not because you've done something on social media. It's because at some point over the past 10 years, you probably had a conversation. So when you walk past people and they go, hey, how you doing? And other people who might be first timers are like, oh, well, it's easy for him because he's just well known and popular. Yeah. It's not the case. It's just the fact that you've all been part of the same community for that long.
That's it, yeah.
And that this also is a big thing, especially with the amount of people nowadays. Your first time when you go to an event, it doesn't mean that everyone is going to be singing your name in the crowd by the time the weekend is over.
Yeah.
It's your first event. It's the tough bit. But guess what? As you said, Tony, as well, think about it as you're going for some toys. You're going for some panels. You're going for some stuff. You're going to get some stuff signed. You'll get a little taste. You'll probably have those few little interactions. And afterwards as well, you can start on the Facebook. You can start if somebody posts up a picture of what they were dressed as. So you can say, hey, I saw that. I took this picture. Great. The start of that interaction. And the thing is, if you're a fan of Transformers and you want to come to TFNation, well, it's probably not because you got into the hobby 2 weeks ago and you're going to give it up in a month. It's probably been a long-term thing. So TFNation is a long-term thing too. So don't worry. Likewise, if you can't make it, you'll make it 1 year. And that's the important thing. So don't beat yourself up if you can't make it just now. No. You will get there.
Yeah, that's it. You've got to take these. Sometimes you've got to take it slow, and you've got to see, what the vibe is, and like I say, I think watching people's videos after the event of, what they got up to, what they've been buying, videos of the dealer's room and all that sort of stuff. You can sort of go, actually, that looks like a lot of fun. I'm gonna bite the bullet and go. And like I say, I'll be honest. So back in 2009, there was, like I said, 300 to 400 people there the whole weekend. 2010, the number had doubled almost because they'd seen our videos after the fact and said, we didn't know it was on. We saw your videos. We did this, did that, all the photos and that you put up, and it made us want to come. And then again, the year after that, more people showed up because of what we did on YouTube. Not that I'm, shining my own helmet or anything, but
No, it was. There was a lot. It wasn't that steep, but it was. No. There was a definite. People were going because of the hype. There was hype around the event.
That's it. Yeah.
And also to put it into context, because I know what Tony's saying, again, to some people might seem a little odd. So let me put it into context for you. So say 400 people, imagine, I'm going to say 15. I know I'm being a bit generous here, but 15 people in the community that would be as well known as McFeely. And when I say McFeely, I don't mean shining star like through that everyone loses their crap over. I'm talking about people that you go, oh, that's the guy. That's the guy that does the cool stuff. You know, everyone from Simon Skade to Timey to Von Roger.
Sam showed up this year.
Yeah, you know, there's a bunch of those folks, and they were all together, and they were even like George doing videos, Adam and his lot, his whole group of people doing videos. All these people came together, and if you think about it, if you've got 15 people in just a group of 400, well, that's actually a large percentage of the people are well known. Now, you don't have that this year, but you still have an awful lot more people that you'll go, oh, I recognize that guy from that one video. You know, everything from Collector 75 all the way through to Thu and other people. So, you know, there is, but again, they're just hanging out just like you are. So nice level playing field for everyone.
Well, that's it. It is a good leveler, like you say. It is a really good leveler. Like no matter what your status is on YouTube, if you've got 1,000 subscribers or 80,000 subscribers, you go to TFN because you want to go, you want to buy some stuff and hang out with people who love the same crap as you. You know, and that's what it is, and that's what it fundamentally comes down to. Is you go to this thing, you can be with people who love the same crap as you, because you don't get that at work, at home, with your group of friends at home. When you go out to the pub, you can't go, hey, Missing Link Ultra Magnus, and all your mates are just going, what are you talking about? It's a toy, you know. Whereas at TFN, look at this, and everybody's going, oh my god, I can't believe it, you know. So you've got that, and because it's once a year as well, you can sort of look forward to it as well. It's something you can look forward to, like Christmas. You know, it's that where you get everybody together. It's just like Christmas. You know, you see family that you don't see all year. You know, you eat, drink, and be merry, and there's toys. You know, so it's just like Christmas. You know,
and funnily enough, Blockies has become almost the playfield leveler for anything now, because everyone likes Blockies. You know, and Blockies are everything from the big stuff, yes, but all the way down to the tiny little stuff, the tiny little, you know, the small purchases that you just pick up. Hey, Manchester, I got given a Sideswipe Blocky. I never get given stuff. I'm still stunned. It's still one of my favorite things I've ever gotten from anyone. I think it must have cost the guy £6. I don't even know the sodding guy's name. And like nobody knows me anymore. And yet I'm so like they're almost like a currency for people now, Blockies.
Well, this is it.
Just chuck them at people.
Because people collect, it's like collecting Pokemon cards. I mean, you will get doubles because the blind boxes, and that's part of the fun, is getting something you don't have. And when you've got a double, you just go, hey, you collect Blockies. I know you're missing this guy. Here, have it. It doesn't matter, because that's what we do in this community.
Absolutely.
You know,
yeah, there is a lot of gift taking. I mean, like I say, I mean, this past week, obviously back at TFN this year, I actually got a couple of things from people. I mean, the real Sam Kelly, Silver Moon, she gave me a couple of things. She gave me a couple. Actually, I got some Blockies out of curiosity, out of funny thing. I think she gave me a Scourge Blocky and a Soundwave one. So happy with that.
She gave me the Soundwave and Rumble Funko Pop that's been popping up in B&M. She gave me it. There you go. Like, what?
Yeah, and that guy that gave us that, there was another small little box we got from that guy with glasses. Yeah, with the peanuts.
23-year-old. There we go.
Peanuts. Yeah.
With a 23-year-old chocolate-covered peanuts.
Yeah, don't eat those. Definitely not.
Well, that's the thing. People just go around going, "Here, have this." Some guy, I believe he's called Jake, was handing out these really nice enamel badges he had made. Just, hey, do you want some badges? What do you want from? No, have them. Yeah, and the really nice, really heavy metal enamel badges. You know, and that's it. It's beautiful. It's handing it out. Yeah.
Yeah, right, Sam Kelly gave me with them enamel badges as well. Real nice Soundwave one.
Right. Let's jump to something nice and random before we hit the end. I just want to talk about because we talked about mental health, but physical health. And one of the things that I've noticed every year as well is that, I mean, just put it to you guys, and you don't have to tell us everything here, but normally what would say a Saturday morning breakfast consist of for you?
Well,
Do you have breakfast? I'm one of those people that doesn't normally eat, but
yeah. This year, I thought.
no. And the big thing here is a normal breakfast at home.
Well, normally, I have cereal. I've been eating a lot of cereal lately, like stuff like
Sure.
Weetabix and stuff like that. And I had cereal but I also had a big bacon sandwich as well. Because
There we go. Yeah.
But it's usually because I think I've said this before in my videos. I think if you eat fairly big breakfast, I mean, whatever your breakfast you choose, it's up to you. But if you eat a fairly decently sized breakfast, that gives you enough energy to keep you going through the day. And a lot of people will skip dinner or lunch and go straight to the evening meal. So if you eat a fairly decent breakfast, it should give you enough energy for the rest of the day. That's my theory anyway. Whether it holds up is another question. You do your own thing. But for me, generally, only because I'm thinking, actually, you know what? I am feeling a bit hungry now. I will go get some lunch. And it was because of the dealer's room. I thought, you know what? I am going to go grab Subway. So I think the breakfast is important. But like you say, if you don't normally have breakfast, then you do you. I'm not saying you should have a breakfast, but if you want one, it's there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's one of the reasons I say that as well is that, the reason I brought it up as well is if you were to say this to somebody else and take it out of context of TFNation, you said to someone, okay, your normal weekend food is this, this, and this, and you have a meal in the evening, and you might have a snack, or you might grab a meal deal at lunch, or whatever it is that you do with your day. And then you say, right, imagine you're at home, and in the morning, well, actually, the day before, you just went on a really long journey on a train, probably grab loads of like dodgy food on the go, and then you follow that up the next morning with a big fried breakfast and loads of other stuff and really stuff it in. Then you run around a hot room for a while. Then you go back to a bar and drink. Then you go back to the hot room, then the bar, then the hot room, then the bar. Then you might go back to your room and eat a load of Jaffa cakes. Then you go to the hot room, the bar, and then go for pizza. And you do that 3 times. Now, I know that is not what most people do. I know that's over egging it a lot. But the fact is that it is the place that people still, they go hell for leather with the worst food because obviously they're having a good time. But then by the third day, they're like, But by that third day, they're like, oh, I heard people are ill. There must be something wrong. It's like, yes, the something wrong is the 306 hash browns that you've eaten over the last 3 days.
But like I say, I think if you're doing that, get some fruit, eat some fruit. I stole tons of apples and oranges from the dealer's room, and I kept eating them during the day as well. So you've got to have some fruit. You've got to have a bit of break from all the junk food. Drink plenty of water as well.
Hydrated.
This year, I may have overindulged a touch. That's Jermaine's fault because he kept us up till 3 o'clock in the morning. But during the day, I tend to drink mostly water, and I did this year. I drank mostly water during the day, and it wasn't until late-ish, about 7 o'clock on the night. That's when I had another beer. So I paced myself a little. And then I did overindulge. But saying that, it's TFN, and that's what I save my money for, and I'm going to enjoy myself. And if it's, if you're doing it differently, then fine. I'm not going to ever question your choices, because at the end of the day, your choice. If you don't want to drink, don't drink. If you want to have a drink, have a drink. That's the way it is. But you're right. I think you should pace yourself a little as well.
And it's funny because Danny, John, and the team at the Battersea Transformer Shop, and that's not via Facebook. That's when I went in there the other Thursday night and just got to hear a group of people go just absolutely nuts over their experience. And by the way, I got to say to people as well, when you go around and traders and guests say, oh, they had a really good time, and they thank the attendees, and you always think that that's a bit pat. You don't think it's always genuine. You think, well, traders are going to be knackered, they're going to be tired. The Battersea Transformer Shop crew were absolutely buzzing, and a lot of that was down to you attendees. And seriously, you made a difference. You were so welcoming. And it's hearing it from people who, look, if they didn't like it, they don't know me anything. They could tell me to sod off, and they hated the event. They sodding loved it. But they also mentioned, because I'd spoken to them like a couple of Thursdays back. I took a friend in there who didn't know any. Well, he loves Transformers, but he's always been too genuinely apprehensive to go to an event.
Yeah.
But I told them, I said, plan, take some healthy stuff, energy bars, protein bar, whatever gets you through the day. And they did that, and they said it really, really helped them. So, and let's face it as well, if you're like, because John, and I'll read out his whole thing at the end of this, because we're talking about big changes, but he made a series of small changes that I think is wonderful. But things like the water bottle, a lot of people just grab a regular bottle of water, 500 ml, and they take that, they drink that, and that's it, and they throw it away, and they're done. And any other plan to hydrate is done. Whereas John just makes sure he took a water bottle, but also he took like a range of stuff to put in it, so that it was never the same thing. So it changes it up. So it makes it so a bit of squash. Yes, it's squash, but who cares? You're still drinking and chugging a load of water. And it's the way that you can maybe invest in getting a few special things for the room that make it so that it's not just a bunch of crackers or a bunch of sweets or a bunch of whatever it is that you eat at 12 o'clock. It's actually something that you wouldn't normally try, or that is like a special food for you. And it might be healthy and it might not, but at least it makes it something special. So,
Well, that's it. You've got to, I mean, everybody's experience is going to be different. There's no two of us are going to have the same experience, because you can only experience it your way. But listening to people's stories afterwards is kind of a good thing. It's like, well, I enjoyed it my way. I want to see how John did it, or Sam Silver Moon did it, or Jermaine did it. So it's kind of like you seeing but then you kind of see the event from all possible angles as well. When you
see it through their perspective,
and what they buy, and so it's kind of like an inside. You're almost inside their head. It's like, oh, you like such and such figures, or this character, or and you bought something new. That's great, and it is nice insight into somebody else's head, basically. Plus, I'm a nose as well.
Just to answer this question, like I say, I mean, when it comes to like what you're saying about breakfast and everything, I tend to not eat breakfast at all. I usually don't even have an appetite until about midday if I'm up early. Anywhere like midday, 12 onwards is when I start feeling a bit hungry. But in the morning, I don't eat. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to TFNation, for some reason, I'm always kind of like quite happily chowing down a full English breakfast every day.
Yep.
And then, it's mad. I mean, like I say, I took the picture of my of my snacks and everything, and my beer and everything, and there's a lot of stuff in there that is not very good for a modern diet, a stable diet. Let's just put it that way.
But you're aware, you're enjoying yourself.
Exactly. That's my mindset. Is that I was on holiday mode. I'm on holiday mode. When you're on holiday, you go abroad, you always indulge more than you do at home anyway.
Exactly.
Because you're on holiday, you're enjoying yourself. So it's like, whether you drink alcohol or not, it doesn't matter. As long as you're getting some enjoyment out of it, like treat yourself to a pack of Jaffa cakes, why not? I mean, you can't not just eat one of them anyway. But yeah, it's just just enjoy yourself. But I mean, I took a lot of drunky stuff, I must admit.
It's just being careful, because again, it's one of those things. By the third Sunday, people are often feeling rough, and they'll turn around and they'll go, well, maybe it was the pizza, maybe the Hilton poisoned me, and it's like, no, maybe it's just food, mate.
I mean, because don't forget as well, is because you're on, your brain is switched on. You don't get a lot of sleep either, because you're excited, you're buzzing, and you've probably been eating chocolate and God knows what else, drinking lots of coffee or whatever. So you're buzzing and you're awake. So when you try and go to bed, even though your body's tired, your brain's still switched on and won't switch off. And then that's when you come home, you're so unbelievably tired. Like I said,
it all catches up.
Guess what? Sorry.
It all catches up. I saw that video that you took. I think you got home and then you went out for a walk.
I did, yeah.
And honest, please don't take offense, but you look like a zombie.
Oh, I felt like a zombie as well. Oh, I really did. But saying that though, I needed, because I've been sat in a coach for 4.5 hours. I wanted
it doesn't help.
So I thought, go out, get a bit of fresh air, a bit of, because the air conditioning wasn't great on the bus. I was sweating and it was horrible, and I got a shower, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to go for a walk, get some blood pumping round, and I honestly felt a lot better when I got back home. It's because you do need that, like even when you're at TFN, you do need that. Oh, I just need 5 minutes. I'll go for a walk to shop, or I'll go to the NEC or whatever. Just get out of the building for a bit. Because it can get overwhelming, and your body just goes, right, you need to get out of there just for a bit.
Yeah.
And you've got to listen to what your body tells you, despite me being, a bit fat. But there we
go. I just want to say, because I just seen a lovely message from BS Prime about his missus, and where now I know BS, you might think, the guys will be shocked by that my partner, who is not into Transformers, has become a bigger fan of the event than the fan of Transformers. But sadly, sir, you are much mistaken. For TFNation has a proud history of turning the uninterested partners of Transformer fans into the bigger fans of the event.
Yeah, my ex Lindsay.
Do you remember the biggest one as well was Livia Ramondelli's wife?
Yeah.
Who still to this day has a statue in her office. I think she still works for Disney, of something that not only did I get it for her, but I then went down to the maintenance team, which I don't think anyone here knows where the maintenance team is in the Hilton. They are literally underneath the entrance, opposite the reception. You go down some stairs and there's a workshop with power tools, and they're doing all sorts of, they do welding down there. Yeah. And I literally got them to take a bandsaw to the base of this figure and cut off this heavy base and bring it up to her so she could put it in her luggage. Livio was so pissed. He was so annoyed. But he's American, so he's like, hey guys, that's really great. But yeah, she's the best example of a partner who was like, before the event, she was like, well, I'll sit behind you, but it's Transformers, I'm not really into it. By the end, she was like, oh, I'm all about Transformers. Holly, who I mentioned in the comments, who came with Kev, Holly's not into Transformers. She's a bigger fan of the event than Kev is.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
My ex-Lindsay was the same thing. She didn't know anybody. She was excited because I was excited, and that's where it went, right? She was excited to come because I was excited, and she could see how excited I was. And then she was like, I don't know anybody. And I said, look, no obligation. If you want to come and hang out with us, I want you to hang out with us, sure. But if you want to go sit in the room, be on your own, that's fine. I'll come up to you, if you're all right. By the Sunday, she went round with a piece of paper, getting everybody to sign the name for Nicole, who was going to come but couldn't come, 2019. She didn't know Nicole. She never met her before. She'd never met anybody in the bar. She went round and got everybody to sign this bit of paper saying, oh, we miss you, love you, can't wait to see you again. You know what I mean? And then I'm like, what the? But then Rogers was saying to me that, well, we split up in the end, but anyway, I was sat with Rogers and she was off doing her own thing with other people, having fun as well. And then every time I'd like put an empty glass on the table, another one would appear. And I'm like, what? So... But yeah, it was the fact that she was doing her own thing, and when she got home, she goes, I can't wait for next year. But obviously next year didn't come because of the COVIDs, and I just didn't see, I was not expecting that change because when I've been talking about Transformers, you could see her rolling her eyes going, don't care. Don't you have that figure? Yes, but it's a different colour, you know what I mean? But yeah, when she was there, it was like, she'd been let off the leash almost. It was.
It's because it is a very supportive community.
Admittedly,
it can seem as well for a first timer or for somebody that struggles. John said this as well. It can be a difficult thing to just jump into. It can take time, but if you find a way to enjoy the event your way, you'll have an absolute blast. And the weird thing is that once you make there'll be people that say I went next year, there'll be people that I've easily not seen for 12 years. I'll probably pick them out and see them straight away and give them a good big hug. You know, there's all sorts of stuff. So yeah, it's great.
That's the truth. Is that I mean a lot. I mean I say this a lot about TFNation, but it's just like there's nothing quite like TFNation. I mean, I've been to other events before. I've been to other conventions. I've been to MCMs and stuff, Comic Cons, and you just don't get the same feel at those conventions like you do TFNation. It's just like it's overly crowded. It's unless you're in a party of people. If you've got if you're gone there with a group of people, then you'd have a different experience. But if you're somebody, say like a solo traveler, it's gonna it's gonna be a different event, a different thing. But the good thing about TFNation is, and with the fact that other people's spouses and other people's partners are also getting a massive buzz out of it as well, is it's because the social side is so good. It's like there might not be a big collector, they might not be into buying toys, they might not be into that kind of side of it, but that's just one part of it. You know, the social side is a big part of it for a lot of people, and it's catching up with people you haven't seen. The conversations aren't all about Transformers in the dealer room. That is a focal point, yes, but it's not all about that. They're like talking about other things, and
random shit in the bar.
Yeah, and playing games and stuff in the bar.
I once gave an impromptu astrophysics lecture while drunk, but there you go. That's what I mean. But as you were saying, John, about things like MCMs, there's a lot of different franchises there. So you'll have actors from Doctor Who and Star Wars.
It's a multimedia one. Yeah.
You have wrestlers there and Power Ranger actors and God knows what else. So these people... So you'll see cosplayers of Marvel and DC and Aliens and Star Trek and, whatever. Whereas things like TFN, it's one thing.
Yeah,
it's horror films and things like that. But it's one thing that we can all get behind, and that adds to the social aspect as well as we're all sociable people as well. But you've got that, like I said to you before a million times, you have that tiebreaker. There'll be somebody in the bar playing with robots, and you will instinctively just go, "Hey, that's a cool figure. I have that. Do you know it does this and this?" Or at least I do anyway. But like I said, MCM, you go there, you look around for some Transformers, you might see one or two things at best, and you think, well, I've already got that figure, I'm not bothered. And then you might buy an autograph from somebody, and then you go, oh, that's it.
There is one other element to that, and I think this might be as well something that John was going to jump into, but I'm going to be sneaky and jump into it first, and that's the Comic-Con crowd as well. The Comic-Con crowd aren't going to be social. That's their aim is to go and see the stuff that is for sale. Or if they're cosplaying, they're going to see other cosplayers. And for a lot of the time as well, it's not the case that a Star Wars person is going there to see other Star Wars people. There's the very few. In fact, the only major Comic-Con that has a kind of air of that is the one at I was going to say Crystal Palace. It's not. You guys know it's the LFCC for those. And the reason that they have,
but I know it.
And because they have the Star Wars, they have a Star Wars area. The Star Wars area, by the way, being run by Dave Tree. and he encourages that. He encourages an air of that sort of Comic-Con. And I will say as well, for anyone who is in the south of England who's watching this, Dave Tree, he's doing Roll Out Roll Call in, I think, a month or so's time, which is a very small Transformers show, but really, really nice. And also he does a Star Wars event. He did a Star Wars event that had some of the top people from Andor there. It was apparently stunning. But he is the one other convention that really works to craft this feeling of a community and of spirit and of you can talk to everyone. So it's not just TFN. We don't have the monopoly, but it is something that it's nice to see. And I couldn't help but see that Ray was talking about as well. He saw somebody dressed as a Jedi. That, you know what? At a Transformer convention, if I saw someone dressed as a Jedi, I'd go up to them and just tell them it was the coolest sodding thing I'd ever seen. I just completely break because it would be so unexpected. But also as well, nobody gives a shit. And that's the big thing. It's like, it's not just the icebreaker of we're all into the same thing. It's the icebreaker of, in one sense, we don't care what you're into as long as you like it.
Yeah, that's it.
And if that's it, that's cool by us.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I mean, I'm a fan of Transformers, of course, but I like other things as well. I mean, I'm a Star Wars fan. I'm also into anime and stuff. There, it's just like I don't have a problem with. I don't know, why people would have a problem, but it's just like we're all there for Transformers, yes, but at the end of the day, we all have other interests, and yet everybody else, other people there, will also share those same interests. So I don't really have a problem with that. It's cool to see. I mean, I remember seeing that person with a Jedi cosplay on. It's pretty cool. It is pretty cool.
Cool. Right. I wanna, because I don't want this to go on for too long, and I apologize, by the way, if I have drawn this out. Hopefully, the stuff we've discussed and the questions I've asked have been a bit of a spin on the usual TFN type video. But I did want to end on something, and this is a positive note, and this is from a chap called John, who's one of the people on Facebook that responded. He responded not with big stuff that he did, but with small stuff. He said he saved enough money, just a little bit of effort through the year. He said he had a choice of trains in the day, and he just took the earlier one, so much like you guys did, just taking the earlier option to get there a little earlier. It gives you a bit more time to socialize before an event. He took the food for lunches to save some money. He also, again, used the water bottle, and he's the one who brought variants of stuff to put in the water bottle, which is good. He took those timeouts both in his hotel room to recharge, but also to get outside. And he said because of that extra social battery meant he was social. It was like his busiest social year. He also went out to the hotel for dinner. He got that fresh air. And I love the fact that he's made all these little changes and he's had a better experience. And what does he end it with? What I need to do better is to try and see some panels next time.
Yeah.
It's exactly. So whatever else happens, remember, there is always going to be something that you will think, I can do that better next year.
Yeah.
And if you think, oh, I can do that better next year, that's when you jump on the likes of the forums and you go, hey, how do I do that better next year? Or you ask Tony, or you ask John, or when they do their videos, you make sure you're subscribed to them. Please subscribe so that when they talk about their advice on doing it, you can do it. And it helps boost your experience. And yes, Tony is on Patreon. He also has a Black Zarek.
Yes.
That completes my bingo card for Tony.
And a Grand Maximus, which I remember the year before, this is 2023, Jermaine bought a Brave Max, and I said to him, how is he getting that home? And then the year after, I bought a Grand Max, and he fucking ran straight to me and went, right, you bastard, how are you getting that home? I put it in a bag, it was fine, I got it home, no problem.
But yeah, there are always ways you can make things better. There are always things you can make things more convenient. There will also, as well, there will always be things that kick you in the teeth. There will be things that don't go your way. There'll be personal stuff that comes up and bites you in the ass. And yes, you might not be able to go. And look, all of us weren't able to go for a couple of years. I've not gone for a couple of years due to stuff that is out of anyone else's control but my own. It just happens. But the fact is, get as much advice from people that have gone to the same event, and at the same time, always keep a close eye on the official TFNation channels. And of course, as we've gone through all this stuff, if you put comments in the chat and you've talked about stuff you liked and you didn't like, make sure you put that in the feedback to TFNation on their questionnaire. Get your voice heard so you can help make things better in the future. That's it. I'm going to shut up now. I'll leave you to it.
Yeah. Well, no, it's just like I say. I mean, what you've just said there, Adam, is just. I've had a few the last couple of TFNations. I've been very much in the zone, in the social, talking to people, and literally last TFNation, I missed every single panel except for 2 voice actor panels and the opening and closing ceremony. That's literally all I saw the whole weekend,
Disgusting.
and I missed everything else because I was just,
This
I
year,
was
this
just,
thing.
I was just too much in the bar talking to people. And by the time I'd looked at my watch or my phone, I was like, "Damn." So this year, I will say I did a hell of a lot better. I did go to a lot more panels, and I was actually quite happy with that. Even though I missed everything on the Sunday, but that was fine because the Friday, I always miss the panels on the Friday for some reason because it's always you in the bar, you're talking to people. Yeah, which I completely have. I love talking to people. It's fine, but it's just like the Friday. I always miss the community-based panels.
Yeah.
But this year I went to John Paul Beauvais' panel.
Brilliant!
That was really, really good. And I went to at least 2 or 3 things on the Friday, and then the Saturday I went to all the voice actor panels,
Mm-hmm.
and then Sunday I forgot everything. But Sunday was kind of like a chilled out day. It was like I went back into the dealer room and I just spent the day just kind of looking for any last minute bits of a Toy Fu. And that was pretty much kind of that. But I at least got something out of the schedule when it came to the panels this year compared to the last couple. Which I came away a little bit more happier doing that because I actually got something from paying my ticket.
Exactly.
In that way, you know.
It's a lot more value when you sit down and listen to these people. A good example. So a couple of years back, that's a very long time ago now, actually. There was I want to say Star Wars / He-Man / Transformer convention run by Dave Tree. I think it was a rollout. I don't know. I think it was a bit unique. It was in Southampton. Anyway, I had, I saw panels going on, and I suddenly realized that there was a Simon Furman panel up next. And I'll admit as well, because I've seen Simon Furman around so much, I kind of take for granted that he's doing a panel. But I thought, you know what, sod it, I'll go see the panel. And I sat down, and it was absolutely fascinating. It was stuff I didn't know about. And then when it came to the questions, that was it. Like everyone else was a bit quiet, so I just asked a lot of questions. Not overboard, got other people asking the questions as well. It was one of those where I asked the 3 questions, and then half an hour later, everyone else was so into the idea of asking more that he ended up overrunning, and he had more people in by the end than at the start. And it's just like some of these guys, it's like Chris Carter. Chris Carter's panels are amazing. And Chris Carter does a lot of education. He's good at doing this, his presentations. Both talks about color and planning and the way he formats stuff and his views on why he does what he does. He's honestly fascinating when you talk to him. But it's because you see him in a certain light, in the bar or signing stuff, you don't always realize just how much stuff these guys have to say, and often as well how much they work on making it different each year. They explore a different area of their craft. It's like I read when I was doing jury duty, I read one of James Roberts' books. Absolutely brilliant. Fantastic. Gave me a whole new lease of life on reading some of his stuff. Can't wait to pick up his book because obviously I wasn't there, so I wasn't able to pick it up. But it's like I would first in line for any panel that he does going forward because it's fascinating stuff. So do if you get the chance. And remember as well, panels are a way for you to step away from the dealer room, to chill out, to take that break. But as Knowlsy says as well, you're getting that value, that ticket that you bought. Well, that's paying for those panels as well as everything else. So it makes sense that you take advantage and enjoy the panels.
It's very easy to kind of be distracted because there's a lot of distractions at TFNation, and there's people talking to you, people.
Twins of Power. Thank you, Phantasm. Sorry,
No, it's just sorry. No, it's just like there's a lot of distractions at TFNation. There's like people try to talk to you, you're trying to talk to others, you're trying to catch up with people that are only there maybe the day. And it's just like the time just seems to go well away from you all the time. And it's very easy to forget stuff. But yeah, I was very happy and quite content this year with seeing more stuff.
Well, I think we've gone on nearly 3 hours. I think it's time to wrap things up.
Holy cow.
Yeah, I think so. That'll be fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm still feeling the TFN tired somehow. I don't know why. So, a big shout out to everybody who's watched. I was going to go through the comments, but there are a lot, and
No. We've honestly, guys,
Yeah.
we've done a really good job of like most of the comments. We've managed to at least look. If you're in comments, if we've not mentioned what you've said, we've certainly read it.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean,
Oh,
everyone apart from Silver Moon, I still can't see your stuff. It just comes out as a blur. I don't know what you're talking about, but no, just
Yeah.
no. I
I mean,
just
I've been
want to say,
popping up from time to time as well. So,
chat's been really, really good.
Yeah.
Chat has been really
Yeah,
some really good feedback. So thank you so much, guys.
yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you everybody who's sat for 3 hours and watched us. Appreciate it.
Lordy.
So, Adam, how can people find you in the internets?
You can
you wanna be
find
found?
me on the Fluff and Hammer podcast channel, where I do an occasional series with David called Fluff and Busters, where we put a film on and then we just start having a conversation. And it is often about the film that's on, but we also go off in different directions. So it's not commentary as such. It's really good. We're going to expand it, and we're going to do more. We're speaking with Adam Nicole about doing that, and it's actually one of the things that I'm hoping to bring you two into as guests on a show in the near future.
Sweet.
Apart from that, I'm still trying to do the fourth part of my Johnny Mnemonic documentary, but it's taking a very long time, so I apologize for that. But I won't even advertise. I think that would just take too long. But yeah, find me on the Fluff and Hammer. It's all good.
And John, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Threads,
TikTok.
Threads and Blue Sky, all under Knowlsy, and TikTok. As I go by Knowlsy89 on there. So yeah, I'm on TikTok now. I'm starting to branch out a little bit on TikTok as well. Just doing more shorter videos, little bits here and there, talking about toy news, things like that. But yeah, so I'm on there as well, and also on YouTube under TF Knowlsy.
Cool. So, thanks for everybody who joined us. Thanks for everybody who mentioned. We did read all your posts and stuff like that. You can, you know the rest.
Please follow these guys as well. Please,
follow John, follow me, especially me. And hit the notification bell. So when I get new videos out, I should get a review out tomorrow. And check out my socials, they'll be in the description, and the usual stuff. So a big thank you to Adam and to John for joining us on this live stream, the entitled live stream. And we will catch you all very soon. Bye for now.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for watching.
It's time to go home.